Happy New Year. Welcome and thank you for being here, and thank you to those viewing remotely. I call to order this joint special meeting of the Mayor and City Council and the Mayor and City Council acting as the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the City of San Bernardino. Pastor Robert D. Young from SB Pastors United will lead tonight's invocation, and Jason Montoya from Cole Elementary School will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Can you both please approach the podium at this time?
Are we ready? Let us begin. First, giving honor to God who's at the head of our lives. We thank God for our Honorable Mayor, Helen Tran, and the City Council. God bless you. I bring you greetings from our pastors, San Bernardino Pastors United, and my pastor, Chuck Singleton. Thank you for the opportunity to pray for this open session. But before I pray, I want us to have 7 seconds of silence to commemorate and remember those wars in our world, the homeless in our nation, and the war on human trafficking, for this is the month to recognize those who are being trafficked. Now let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to pray a special prayer over the Mayor, Helen Tran, and the newly born son and her family, the City Council, San Bernardino, and the families herein. Please honor their sacrifice as they serve and they render their service. We pray tonight that your spirit rests, rules, and abide over each person. We pray a special crown of wisdom over tonight's City Council as they review and vote and discuss the various resolutions. Help them to make the proper decisions, Father God. We thank you for our city manager, our city chief of police, our city, county, city fire department leader, our city leaders that work so diligently behind the scenes. Lord, we honor you with our prayer. We promise tonight, Father God, that we will remain in agreement even though we might not agree with all the things that's being said. Lord, we invoke your presence over this meeting. We pray you superintend this meeting, be with every speaker, every presenter, every resident on tonight. Oversee the agenda, Lord. Watch the chamber's business, and as they make the resolutions, Father God, be with them, Father God. Resolve any racial issues that may exist. Allow persons to forgive one another in love, Lord. You know our plans. You know our thoughts. As we conclude, Father God, we're reminded of what you told us in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their land. We join together corporately tonight, Father. We thank you in advance for your protection, covering, and guidance. There's nothing we can do without you. We're so ever careful to give you all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise. In Jesus' name we pray. And all that agreed, they said, amen.
Please stand, face the flag, put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Young, and thank you, Cole. All right, I'm sorry, Jason. Thank you, Jason. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Present.
Councilmember Figueroa. Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Reynoso.
Here.
Councilmember Kelvin.
Present.
Councilmember Alexander.
Here.
Mayor Tran.
Here. Before we conduct city business, as a friendly reminder, as elected leaders of the city, we endeavor to be respectful to each other, our public, and especially our staff. Our behavior this evening sets the tone of how our residents, business community, and others view our city. We must conduct city business with professionalism and respectful behavior to build trust, credibility, and move our city forward. We shall commit to these values and foster a positive and productive work environment that is conducive to achieving our goals effectively and efficiently. We will move on to presentations. The first one is the proclamation for Jaden Daniels in the city of San Bernardino, January 20th, 2024. Join us at the homecoming celebration as we present the proclamation to honor the 2023 Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels, on Saturday. On Saturday, January 20th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. This exciting event is free, but remember to secure your tickets online at www.sbcusd.com/Jaden-Daniels-celebration. Don't miss the lively parade along North Park Boulevard from 10 to 12 p.m. Enjoy the festivities with the free parking available at Cal State San Bernardino in lots F, G, and H. For additional details, visit the SBC USD website. Be part of this celebration. The next presentation is San Bernardino County Fire Protection District, FP5. And this will be presented by our San Bernardino County Fire Protection District Chief Dan Munsey.
Mayor,
Please.
if
Yes.
I may, real quick.
Yes.
We need to move back a little bit for public comments on the items on this agenda.
Oh. That was going to be next. We're going to do presentation first, then public comments.
Okay. Okay.
Chief Munsey?
Good evening, Mayor Tran, members of the council. We have a PowerPoint presentation. May I ask that be advanced, please? Members of the audience, I'll have you look over to these screens here, or these screens here. I am Dan Munsey. I'm the fire chief for the county of San Bernardino. I feel like I'm amongst old friends. I know many of you, having served the city of fire as the city fire chief for just about 3 years. Tonight, we're here to talk about Measure W, which pertains to our fire tax FP5. Next slide, please. To start, we'll talk a little bit about our fire district. We cover 19,278 square miles. That's about the size of the 3 small states in the union put in our borders. We are the largest fire district in the nation. What's interesting is about 78% of that, thank you, sir, is federal land. You know the beautiful mountains that we have and the beautiful deserts. We're blessed, but does anybody know how much the federal government pays in property tax or any other revenue towards the fire district? You know the answer, Mayor Tran, it's zero. We are a California special district. Often people see our patch, our shoulder patch, and they think that we are a department of the county of San Bernardino. That is not true. We're a special district. We are not a general fund department. We are bound by fire district law. And in 2023, I want to thank our firefighters in the room. They responded. They told me I only have 10 minutes. So can we just take that 30 seconds out because they deserve that? They responded to 196,000 all-risk emergencies. These firefighters are amongst the hardest working in the nation. They regularly are in the top 10 busiest units in the nation here in the city of San Bernardino. I'll show you that a little bit later. But they provide an amazing amount of services, and these truly are the hardest working firefighters that I've ever met. In 2016, the city of San Bernardino, unfortunately, was going through bankruptcy. The fire department with the city of San Bernardino had been here for almost 100 years. They were a very proud fire department. They do an excellent job. But because of the bankruptcy, the city needed to annex fire protection into the county fire protection district. We offered every single one of those employees positions with our fire department. Many of them came over, and I will tell you, they made our fire department better. Just prior to the bankruptcy, the city had to close 2 fire stations, Fire Station 223 in 2015 and Fire Station 230. That's what the National Orange Show in 2014. Let's advance this slide, please. Oh, I got it. Hold on. Sorry about that. So I'm going to talk a little about our fire tax, because when the city annexed into the Fire Protection District, in order to save money out of the general fund, they annexed into FP5, which is a fire tax. This saved the city almost $9 million in their general fund. So that money remained in the general fund, did not come to the fire district. This is an annual assessment that was voted by residents in 2008 to provide for fire, rescue, and EMS services in the County Fire Protection District. The city annexed in, along with the cities of Upland, 29 Palms, and Needles. All four of those cities chose to annex in the fire district and FP5. In 2018, the entire County Fire Protection District was annexed in to help pay for services. FP5 currently accounts for about 18% of our operating budget. Now, these dollars directly relate to the firefighters on the fire engine, the fire apparatus leaving the station. Like the city, we have a large budget, and we have enterprise accounts, so we have those revenues accounts, and when you can make money, you pay for your service. For instance, the fire marshal's office is 100% fee-driven. The money that they raise in the fire marshal's office must be spent in the fire marshal's office. In order to keep the fire stations open, we have this fire tax. 100% of FP5 that is raised in the city is there to support 4 of the 9 city fire stations. I mentioned that the city's busy. 52,332 calls for service. The responses by our busiest engine, Medic Engine 224, in 2023 was 6,524. Let me give you perspective. We've always considered an engine overtaxed. In other words, they're too busy when they hit about 3,000 to 3,200 calls. Medic Engine 224 would be considered twice as busy as they should. The men and women do a fantastic job of responding to the all-risk calls that they do, but I worry about their safety sometimes because they don't have the needed rest breaks, the meal breaks, the amount of training that they would normally get, nor are they getting out and doing the public education and interface with the city residents like we should be doing. They are extremely busy. The revenue from FP5 allocated the county fire to continue fire rescue and EMS services from the city's bankruptcy. Again, the city annexed into FP5 in order to pay for those 4 stations out of 9. The revenue must be spent in the zone that it's raised. So the money here stays here in the city. It does not go anywhere else. I mentioned that the city has 9 current fire stations in operations. 4 of these are being funded by FP5. This includes Fire Station 224, which is the busiest engine company, or one of the busiest engine companies in the nation. This is your boundaries showing your fire station. The screen's very hard to look at, and I think most of you know where the 9 fire stations are. I would mention that there's 2 fire stations that are currently under construction, Fire Station 226 to replace that station, and Fire Station 227. These are dollars that we were able to get from outside sources, including San Manuel and the Board of Supervisors, to help build these fire stations in the city. In 2016, when the city annexed, unfortunately due to bankruptcy, most of the fire stations had deferred maintenance and the fire apparatus were well beyond their replacement life. The fire district has spent an enormous amount of money to make sure that our fire engines are safe for our firefighters, with most of those fire engines being replaced, including the tiller trucks. Quick question for the audience. Anybody know how much a fire engine costs? Shout it out. $750 for a regular one, about 2 years ago. Yeah, a fire engine is $1.2 million, and these are the Ford or Chevy. Sometimes they make the Chevy people upset. These aren't the Cadillac fire engines. Going to go back to the fire tax, last slide. There's currently no replacement revenue available for our fire tax FP5. There are 9 fire stations currently in operation. 4 of these fire stations are funded by FP5. A loss of FP5 or repeal on Measure W could lead to the possible station closures to close that budget deficit. I promise you, we will not be able to respond to every 911 call in the city at that point. There's no physical way. There will be an expected increase in response times. There will be an expected increase in insurance premiums due to fewer resources for fire response. While not showed on the slide, I'll go back to this one. We do use county resources to come into the city often. This includes the community of Muscoy, Grand Terrace, Mentone, DeVore. These fire engines are responding in the city on a regular basis. We are working hard to reduce the risk to our citizens in the city, but as I mentioned, it's one of the most busiest areas in the nation. You also have a much higher fire rate than other areas. Some of these, you know the answers why, but a lot of it is the homelessness. Our fire district, besides providing the normal services, goes a step further. We've deployed 2 community outreach and support teams, COAST teams, that proactively go out and they meet with mental health, behavioral health, homelessness to reduce those causes in the city. We partner with behavioral health with your city fire department. Chief Goodman's been excellent to us. We also provide backup services to the city SWAT team to make sure that we have tactical medics that are available as they're doing their job to keep our officers safe. And we've deployed technology to the best of our ability to reduce the amount of calls that our fire engines respond to, including an innovative emergency communication nurses system, which is putting nurses in our dispatch center. Finally, we've worked with our area fire departments and we've bid against AMR in order for ConFire, a JPA, to provide ambulance services in the city. This will lead to more ambulances being available to the city to shorten the response times. Is there any questions from the council?
I do. Station 224, where's that located?
224 is on Highland. Ian Highland is across street there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Chief Muncy, thank you for your presentation. You mentioned right now one of the major reasons for the fires is homelessness, and it is my understanding that the reporting that our county fire is doing when they address these fires, there's nowhere in there that you can put that it could have been caused by an individual. Is that correct? Is that something that's being worked on right now?
Ma'am, we have a professional fire investigation unit. The fire investigators go out to every one of these causes, and they're really good at documenting the causes, and we can provide you a report with what's causing the fires in the city.
So you do have a separate report then?
Yes, ma'am.
That's tracking them. Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Calvin?
Thank you, Chief Muncy, for the report. I appreciate it. I just want to get clarification. Did you state that there are no funds for replacement stations?
No, ma'am. If our Measure W, the measure to repeal our fire tax, if that fire tax is repealed, there is no replacement revenue for that FP5. Okay. We are actively working on bringing in replacement capital improvement project dollars into the city, and we've demonstrated that with not only making sure that the fire stations in the city that had the deferred maintenance, every one of those are now up to maintenance. And then we have a regular replacement schedule for your fire stations.
Okay. Because we had a conversation about a year and a half, 2 years ago. We know that Ward 6 had their station taken away. At that time, though, we did have the one on 9th Street, but that is not in Ward 6. So wondering, were those plans that we discussed, where are they?
Thank you, Councilwoman Calvin. We did talk about a fire station in Ward 6. It is one of the areas we've identified in the city that does need a fire station. The fact is, even with the dollars that we have today, we're not deploying enough resources for your fire rescue and EMS problem. There's not enough dollars today. If Measure W hypothetically were to pass and we were to lose FP5, that would make it even more difficult to add additional equipment and fire stations in the future. It is absolutely our goal to continue to build fire stations. We're actively working with our legislature, state and federal, with the County Board of Supervisors. Supervisor Baca, Supervisor Rao have been very good about giving money into the city for those replacements.
And so when replacement dollars were to become available, Ward 6 would definitely be on the top of the list due to the fact that we don't have one, correct?
Well, I'm not going to tell you it's going to be the #1 priority, and I know you want to hear that. But what we do is we use a computer modeling system called DECAN. It looks at where the current calls are and where the calls are predicted to be in the future. It looks at where the current deployment of resources, and it allows us to determine what's the best location to put new fire stations or new apparatus to get the most bang for our buck. And so that's what our approach would be. Now, with that said, I would say that you would be in the top priority, but I'm not going to tell you it's absolutely. I'll let the computer system say that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Figueroa?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, my questions were pretty much in line to what you were just addressing as far as new facilities and infrastructure, things like that. So you had mentioned the closures of certain stations about, what was it, 8 to 10 years ago approximately, something like that, and how one of the stations is overburdened. And so really my question was just aligned with what you had just addressed as far as what are the plans to build new stations. I think you mentioned that. But what else are we doing to alleviate some of this? Because I can't imagine that, as professional as our firefighters are, when you overburden them and stretch them thin like that, there are other costs associated with, working somebody that hard. And so I imagine that there's other factors that are included in this that we need to look at. And so what is actually happening to alleviate some of this, in addition to opening up other stations?
It's what keeps me up at night. At the end of the day, when a firefighter is overtasked, you're going to have a higher workers' comp claims. We see that. We see burnout, mental fatigue. We also see families being affected, including an increased rate of divorces. Public safety across our nation, unfortunately, has a higher rate of suicides than any other profession.
So it goes far deeper than just...
It really does.
Yeah, so I just want the public to understand that it's not just, the calls, the call time might be extended. There's some serious, deep impacts to the firefighters as well, and to the community. And so I just wanted you to, and thank you for doing that. I appreciate you mentioning that as well, because that's what I was wanting to point to. So thank you for mentioning that.
Our firefighters deeply care about their profession and about, we're in the job to put somebody else's life in front of our own, and they're working themselves to the bone. So what are we doing about it's a better question. We are proposing that we add a medic squad into the city in our next budget year. Still need to get that through the Board of Supervisors, but I feel confident that we're going to do it. We're also working on increasing some of the staffing. For instance, we built Fire Station 226. It'll be able to house more firefighters. 227 be able to house more firefighters. So we'll put additional medic squads, which are capable of responding to some of the medical emergencies. We'll put additional trucks that are going to assist the firefighters on the structure fires that they have, and additional engines. If I were to ask our union president, who's in the audience right now, his staffing needs, matter of fact, he's told them to me very recently, they're endless. And when we had the discussion, it was very apparent to me that what he's asking for is an alignment to keeping his firefighters safe and then to make them operational capable. It wasn't anything extravagant. And so as a fire chief, I'm going to continue to work hard to ensure that we find the revenue any way we can. Back to Measure W. There is no replacement for Measure W or FP5. If that goes away, very likely that funding's for 4 fire stations. We're going to have to make hard decisions.
Thank you, and these certainly should be commended for the work that they do. And I see a few of them in here, so I just wanted to personally say thank you for the work that you do for the community and the sacrifices that you make personally and at home. I know that you have family at home that waits for you, and you spend many hours and days away from your family. So thank you, and I commend you for the work that you do. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, thank you so much, Chief Mundy, for this great presentation on FP5. All right, moving on to public comments. At this time, will be heard for items 1 through 39 on the special meeting agenda. To address City Council, everyone must complete a speaker card and provide it to the City Clerk. Only those speaker cards turned into the City Clerk will be allowed to address the City Council. No late cards will be accepted. Each person should state their name for the record. If you require Spanish interpretation, we do have an interpreter on site. Please raise your hand at this time to indicate you need translation assistance. In addition, we have interpreting listening devices available in the back. Yes, Councilwoman Calvin.
City Manager Montoya, if you would, I've had several calls about why we're changing our meetings around in this manner. Would you please acknowledge the community about why?
Yeah, Mayor, Councilmember Kaplan. So December we had one meeting, so this meeting was going to be extra long. We're adjusting the times of the meeting in order to accommodate the length of the agenda. and to make sure also that the public, when they show up, they have adequate time to go ahead and have public comment. So not only will they not have not just have public comment on this agenda, but the normal agenda here coming up at 7 o'clock, they'll have time to do public comment there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a Spanish translator here? Okay, thank you, Genoveva.
En este momento se escucharán los comentarios públicos. Primero se escucharán los oradores en persona, seguidos de los oradores remotos. Para dirigirse al Consejo Municipal, cada individuo deberá completar una tarjeta de orador. Se debe completar la tarjeta de orador y entregarla a la Secretaría Municipal en este momento. Solo aquellas tarjetas de orador entregadas a la Secretaría Municipal podrán dirigirse al Consejo Municipal. No se aceptarán tarjetas tardías. Cada persona debe indicar su nombre para registro. A las 8 pasaremos a las audiencias públicas y completaremos el resto de los comentarios públicos después de cerrar la última audiencia pública. Si necesita interpretación en español, tenemos un intérprete presente. Por favor, levante la mano en este momento para indicar que requiere servicios. También tenemos aparatos disponibles para escuchar la Junta en español. Si no recibimos solicitud para los servicios de interpretación antes de las 9, el intérprete se retirará.
Thank you. Gracias. We have 13 speakers tonight, and with that, each speaker will have 3 minutes. Madam City Clerk, would you call up the speakers?
Ricky Van Johnson, Selena M., Anna Candre, David Friedman, Eric Servin, Alejandro Gutierrez, and Debbie Kaufman.
Oh, can you turn on the mic, please? Thank you.
Good evening and Happy New Year. Ricky Van Johnson. A lot of cities are suffering from urban decay. The city of San Bernardino is suffering from urban decay in our planning department. Well, Ricky, how can you say that? For instance, as a city, we are a business entity in direct competition with the surrounding municipalities. Therefore, the city's development standards must be equal to or greater than the surrounding cities to attract developers and business opportunities. As the city planned to develop the last major north-south arterial street in all of San Bernardino, the city had the opportunity to put in place an inviting, attractive thoroughfare. In 2017, our neighbors in the city of Rialto.
Mr. Johnson, sorry to interrupt, but which item are you speaking on? Is it?
Just public comments.
So it's not this is specifically for items 1 to 39. Is there something specific? Because if not, then we can hold off till 7 p.m.
We can hold off to 7
Okay,
p.m.
thank you. We'll make sure that you're added to that session. Thank you.
Are there more copies for our city manager and staff? Or?
We have some extras.
Okay.
Madam City Clerk, next speaker.
Selena M.,
Evening, City Councilman and the community. My name is Selena. I'm speaking on item 3. I'm here to speak on behalf of Animal Control Commissioner Sharon Negrete. To be quite honest, I don't understand why I have to come up here and speak on the potential removal of someone who is and has always been for the well-being of San Bernardino animals. It brings up the question, what is the motive? What is the real reason? It only makes sense to have advisory on the commission board who are actively making a change, being a voice, and wanting to help out and make a difference. We are out there every day trying to help the animals on the streets, help the animals coming in from surrenders, lost. And so to have that connection with one of the commissioners who is actively in partnership with everyone in the community and have her removed, it makes no sense. So please ask yourself, before making your vote, is it fair or logical to remove Commissioner Sharon Negrete? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
I'll call them out again. Anna Kandre, David Friedman, Eric Servin, Alejandro Gutierrez, Debbie Kaufman, Diane Water.
If you hear your name, please come up to the podium, and then that way we'll know you're next. Thank you. State your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Anna Kandre. I am here for item number 3. I want to start with a quote from Voltaire. Think for yourself and let others enjoy the privilege of doing so too. So I am here because I regularly attend the San Bernardino Animal Control Commission's monthly meetings. It's something I look forward to very much. I like to be around what I refer to as my people. I appreciate everyone there, including Animal Control Director Chris Watson. So imagine my surprise when I heard of the possible removal of Sharon Mayberry Negrete. I appreciate her passion for the animals of the city. She always comes prepared and always asks questions. I enjoy the beautiful poems she writes about the discarded animals in our community. I'm not here to speak negatively on anyone else on the commission. We all have our special gifts and talents, but in full transparency, there's quite a few of them I have yet heard speak or ask questions. And here we are, trying to eliminate someone who does. Ms. Sharon is speaking on behalf of her constituents. After all, isn't that what having this board is about? Community engagement leaves much to be desired in this community. Trying to extinguish Sharon's voice isn't a good look at all. Thank you for your time, and I will share a favorite quote by Aristotle to finish. If I can find it. There is only one way to avoid criticism. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Friedman. Happy 2024. I'm here to speak on item 33. We've been working really hard on the 4th Street Alley grant partnership with the city. We were able to get $720,000 to fix up a very tiny alley. It's an alley the city owns, and that's needed maintenance for a long time. And we're running out of time. The grant was given to us by the Clean California grant. And the date to spend the money is June 30th, 2024. We have less than 6 months to spend the money and choose a contractor to do the bid. So, you know, we were doing this in partnership with Arts Connection and the city. And so, you know, I check every week for, you know, what the new agenda is going to be. And I was very surprised to figure out that you guys were, you know, not collaborating with us and just rejecting the bid that you guys got to do the work. And I want to remind everyone that this is a street alley that should have been maintained by the city anyways. We just so happened to help get $720,000 additional to make it really nice. And this is an alley that it doesn't seem like a big deal. It's an alley. But I've already used this alley and leveraged it to negotiate with a microbrewery who I'm trying to bring to downtown, to a Greek restaurant who I'm trying to bring to downtown. There's artists here that are already in downtown and, you know, would like to have more events in downtown in a nice alley, not one that has potholes and backflow issues and all sorts of stuff. And so the difference between the money we have and what the contractor bid is around $400,000. And so I'm asking you guys to either come up with a difference, negotiate with the person who made the bid, but do not put it back. You could put it back out to bid, but we have less than 6 months. I don't think that's a good idea. Even if it means losing a few things in the construction bid and taking some things out, but to get it done. For example, you guys have already promised to give $100,000 to Arts Connection for art there. If you guys spend that money, but you don't spend all the money, you guys still have to pay that amount of money to them. You guys have a contract with them. So whether or not you use the money, the city has to do the work. And so it's, do you use that grant money or do you spend your own money? And so I'm asking you guys to please, whatever it takes to get this alley done so we can bring a new business and help you guys out. You help us and we bring more business. I think that's a very good investment in our downtown. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, real quick, if I may have Dave, the mayor and council, real quick. We found out late this afternoon that the grant extension has been made by, to the city to December of this year. So it's no longer June.
So it's not June, it's now December.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Servine. I'm here to talk about item number 33. First of all, I'm a local business owner. I own 2 of the galleries here in downtown. And I can, talk about for minutes and minutes and minutes about how positive of an impact something like this would be, having a destination spot in the city for people to come. Not only for business, like, just flow through all the businesses that have opened up within the last 2-3 years, but for the future as well. Like David was mentioning, the time is still of an essence, like even if it's December, because if you go out to bid, it's going to take months. I mean, it's already taking you 2 years to get, to this point. So if we only have less than 12 months to take care of it, it might not happen. And it would not look good on the city if you guys have to return the funds. Or any of the organizations or partners you guys are working with. But just know that the community is really open to this whole plan. So we're on board. We just want to see some effort from the city. Yeah, that's my comments. So you guys have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and community members. My name is Alejandro Gutierrez. I'm the Executive Director of Arts Connection. Also for a Happy New Year, ultimately. I had comments regarding agenda item number 33. I think most of them were addressed, seeing that the extension has been approved. I think ultimately this space that we're creating in downtown San Bernardino in collaboration with the artists, community members, we have been dreaming together. We've been hosting community listening sessions to design the art, dreaming about the future, seeing how the art reflects our identity and what we're hoping and aspiring for. And ultimately, this is not just public art. This is not an alley. This is a place of gathering. It's a third place that people could come together, decompress from their busy days, decompress from their busy lives, and connect. A place to build connection, build bridges of differences, and to reflect on how can we collaborate and move forward together as a community. In the spirit of collaboration, I just highly encourage that same collaborative environment, that same collaborative effort continues to propel during this next phase of this next bid cycle. As a contracted agency that has an RFQ out for a muralist that's going to be part of the designing phase of the murals there. We just hope that we're part of the discussions, and knowing that ultimately that collaborative environment, that collaborative space is how we're going to be able to move this project forward, and we could think through solutions together ultimately. So I'm excited for the partnership. I'm excited what this 4th Street project's going to be, and what it could, what space it could provide for the community. Ultimately, I greatly appreciate the partnership. I'm excited for what's to come this year. And then also congratulations, Mayor Helen, on your baby, and wishing everybody here, a prosperous new year. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Debbie Kaufman. I'm on the 3rd article. I'm here on behalf of Sharon Negretti. I don't usually speak, so I'm asking that you don't vote her out. She's about the best thing that come to San Bernardino to advocate for the animals, and you want to take her out, and I can't, I had to come here to let you know that I'm completely opposed to her being out. And I'm a taxpayer, and I figure I have a voice in this, and you guys work for us, not the other way around. And I think you should reconsider that and keep her in. She's the best commissioner that you've got on the board. And she should stay no matter what. And if she doesn't, you're going to get somebody else in, and then you're not going to like them. So I don't understand. People fight, but, you know, she's articulate. She knows what she's talking about. And I think you should keep her there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Please state your name.
Hello, I'm addressing the issue of the 8 of you, your decision to remove Sharon Negretti from the commission board. I have a rescue, and most of the dogs I rescue is in this city. Sharon is an advocate for the animals. This dog died last week under Christine Watson's watch. She gets paid $170 grand a year. This shouldn't happen. The staff was told that this dog is ill, and their response was, "We'll get to her later, we're busy." Now, I know you've already determined the fate of Sharon. You've already decided you're going to remove her. But shame on you, and I know this is falling on deaf ears. You guys are as much responsible for this dog's death as Christine, because you allow it to go on. I challenged each of you in August to go to that shelter and look at it. I doubt any of you have, as you sit there silently staring. The community of San Bernardino, this is a waste of time, but I'm here for my friend Sharon. She's an advocate for animals, and she shouldn't be removed. Fred, you told her you would publicly embarrass her if she did not step down. Shame on you. I yield.
Thank you.
James Gregoli, Rose Ward, Sharon Negrete, Georgia Lacaretzos, Lydia Zavala, and Negrete E.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Tran and Council. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I'm speaking on item number 2. My name's Jim Gregoli. I'm the president of the San Bernardino County Firefighters. I represent the firefighters that serve your community here in San Bernardino. It's an honor to represent them every day, the hard-working men and women that serve this city and service tirelessly to make sure that the citizens here are safe. I want to thank Chief Muncie for his presentation, and there were a lot of facts and figures that were given to you about FP5. For me, this is more of a no on Measure W, and the board and the council and the mayor supporting a no on Measure W. I think what we need to understand here, we took over the city back then when it was having some financial problems. But I was meeting on the transition team with the firefighters from your city for about a year ahead of time. We had very productive meetings. They came across. At that time, the city, we instituted a vote of the citizens to turn around and support an FP5 measure. That was passed at that time. Today, we face a group of people that want to come around that are from the outside of the city and want to make decisions for what happens in this city by putting a repeal of the FP5 measure. While Chief Muncy expressed very many things, you need to know what's truly going to happen here. If this goes away, many of the things that we have progressed on, such as improving your fire stations, such as rebuilding your fire stations, such as adding staffing, such as even possibly keeping some stations open, are going to go away. And what's concerning to me is that's a decision, not what the council decided back then, but what the citizens decided back then. But this is from a group of outsiders. The men and women are just that serve your community are just a pawn in this game. I'm here to urge the council to a unanimous vote on a no on Measure W. And we need to send a message from all of you and all of our cities that are involved under this FP5 that we support this measure so we can fund fire services. It's the most important to save our fire stations, save our firefighters, and keep this community safe. So I thank you. If anybody has any questions, you could go to saveourfirestations.com. It's right on the website. There's a clear explanation of what's truly going on. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening. I'm Rose Ward. I'm here to talk about item number 3 and the removal of Sharon Negretti. I disagree with her removal. She's an advocate for the animals, and she's a gift to the commission. And I think just because somebody doesn't get along with another person, you need to work through that. It's about teamwork. And if you don't get along, just work through it. And I disagree with the removal because I think the commission has already, or I should say the council has already met, decided, and I think you guys have a tendency that even though we're here talking about it, you've already decided, every single one of you, that our voice here as the constituents that put you into office, that pay your salaries, we don't matter. Once you've decided that somebody's not going to do what you want, what you've decided that they should say, you're going to kick them out of a spot. Somebody already said, you're going to put somebody else in there. If they don't do what you want, you're going to kick them out. You're going to just keep recycling. Let's put another person in. We don't like what they're saying. We don't like what they're doing. Kick them out, put another person in. This isn't a revolving door. It's so that we can make our city better and different. And that's what Sharon does. She's a voice for those animals. She works hard. She works thoroughly. She's on the Nextdoor app. She's over there advocating for the animals. And you know what? San Bernardino has so many animals on that street. I have never seen so many animals. When I moved here, I was going, how many animals do we have? And she's their voice. She's the voice of the people here. And you need to see that. And you know, I hope that even though you've made your decision, you reconsider it, you hear how many people are here, right here in front of you, the people that voted you in, that put every single one of you from the mayor to all of the city council people that put you into your seats, that you listen to us for a change, you reconsider your vote, and you think, Sharon has people here who've not come to speak on her behalf, and you reconsider just because Fred Charette said, you know what, Sharon, I don't want you in that commission seat, I'm going to take you out. Don't just listen to Fred, who called her up and said, Sharon, I need you to talk and be a voice for the animals. You know what, Sharon, I don't like what you're doing. I'm going to kick you out. Don't listen to Fred. Listen to your heart, city council people. Listen to your heart. And don't kick her out just because maybe for once she's not getting along with Chris Watson. Sit her down and say, you know what, Sharon, let's all listen and listen to what you say together, because what you do right now has a far greater impact to our city of San Bernardino than you listening to one city council person. Listen to your heart and listen to the city right here, all of us together, instead of just one city council person who doesn't like her. Because guess what? He's not important. Sharon is, we are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
My name is Lydia Saval. I'm here to address item number 3 and to be here in support of keeping Sharon Negretti on the commission. Good or bad, she brings questions to the table that need to be asked, and those questions cause discomfort. There's nothing wrong with conflict. It's impossible to have 8 people on a board or staff and not have conflict. Conflict levels the playing field and gets you closer to the truth. And quite honestly, I have to say to you that you've got this namby-pamby commission. They don't ask questions, they have no concerns, and they have no recommendations because they come to the table without a knowledge base. You don't know what you don't know. And so if you're going to put someone in that seat, use that seat not to keep it warm, but rather to bring an opinion. And you can't have an opinion if you have no knowledge. So I recommend to you that in the future, whoever you bring to the table, they need to be educated. They need to go through an orientation of some sort with regard to medical guidelines, kennel guidelines and safety, the grand jury report, which made recommendations that are just buried and ignored, the difference between distemper and parvo. The dog that you saw in the photo had ocular discharge and nasal discharge. Many people do not know that those symptoms represent distemper, which is different from parvo, because parvo, the dog lives for maybe 5 days with treatment, and in 5 days, that dog is either dead or still alive and made it through. With distemper, it's a far uglier virus, and the dog can suffer endlessly for weeks, even months, and to have a dog with those symptoms in the same kennel as healthy dogs is pure insanity. And this would not be happening if you had a veterinarian. And those, Sharon goes on to question, she'll look at the statistics. I think she's the only person on your commission that looked at the stats and said, does this look right to you? No, it doesn't. Because they're using a model from UC Davis, and the word UC Davis comes up, and everybody, oh, well, it's the UC Davis model, so we're not going to question those numbers. But those numbers do not intimidate all of us, because we know 4th grade math. We knew it in 4th grade, we know it now. So we have a right to ask those questions. Good girls do not, bad girls do not make, good girls do not make history.
Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, Mayor and City Council members. Sorry, I have a cold. I'm Sharon Negretti. As a dedicated law enforcement officer, I took an oath to uphold the law and ensure community safety, putting my life in danger. I still carry a badge. Similarly, as a commissioner, I've sworn to educate the community regarding the humane treatment of animals and other matters related to animal shelter services. Please refer to Section 3 of the Resolution 2018-45. It's disheartening that in fulfilling my duties, I've faced ostracism despite these commitments. Walking through the animal shelter, you can see these animals living in conditions that are inhumane, with obvious signs of neglect and cruelty. Even with the cold outside, they still don't have blankets or beds. Allowing animals to suffer, even in an animal shelter, is a criminal act, punishable by the law according to California Penal Code 597.1A1. This is something a civilized city should not be supporting. Councilman Tourette called me demanding my resignation, saying I did not comply, saying if I did not voluntarily resign, he was taking it to the city council for a vote and making it public. It seems his intention was to intimidate me and tarnish my reputation for doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Furthermore, he asked me to take this position, saying, maybe you can get them going. When I asked why he wanted me to resign, he said I did not comply. He has never attended a commission meeting. Furthermore, he declared that he didn't even need a reason. That is highly disrespectful and implies that he holds himself exempt from any repercussions, allowing him to act however he wants. When I asked Councilman Zaret to come to a commission meeting, I mentioned that Councilman Alexander came, and he told me that I don't care what Councilman Alexander did. He did that just to get votes. He doesn't care about animals. Councilman Zaret accused me of trashing the city. I never did that at the last meeting during that agenda. Nonetheless, Mr. Zaret informed me prior to that last meeting that the approval decision for the partnership had already been made, a clear violation of the Brown Act. As citizens elected to serve this, individuals elected to serve the citizens of San Bernardino, I'm questioning your support for subjecting a commissioner, taxpayer, and volunteer to such a predicament solely based on fulfilling my sworn duties.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
My name is Georgia. So you all know I've been coming here for almost a year, and I comment at every single one of these meetings, every single one. And I speak about the same thing, the animals. Either it's the animals with the homeless people or the animals at that shelter, facility, whatever you want to call it. I applied for that position, and thankfully it got filled with Commissioner Negretti, and I did commit to working together with them. Unfortunately, I did not really realize that that committee was meeting every month. Those meetings were not publicized. That's a violation of the Brown Act. I can't even get the meeting minutes from those meetings. We informed Treasurer Ortiz, who is running for the 7th Ward, that there was a violation, and she said that she would report it for us and attend the meeting. Unfortunately, none of that happened. So I don't know where she stands on the Brown Act. This commission is useless. You have filled it with people who have no background in animal care, welfare, or in any way, shape, or form. They do nothing. The only one that asks questions is Sharon. Obviously, she's asking too many questions because now you want to take her out of there. Well, I disagree. I disagree. She's the only one that's going to ask the right questions and hold people accountable. This commission needs to be filled with people that are going to make something happen. The people you have on there currently do not have a background in animals. Please, I need you guys to reevaluate who is sitting on these seats. Mayor, you appointed 2 people. One is on a rescue, another is, I don't know where his background is because the application that you guys posted isn't even him. He hasn't shown up in the last couple meetings, and as a matter of fact, there's other people that have not shown up. First Ward, she did not show up for 3 meetings, and suddenly she started showing up. 3 meetings, you're out. And yet, nothing. We need to fill those seats. Get the notice out. Put it on the website. We need people to apply for these seats and get something done because these animals are suffering. I will be back to speak about Sue because that is something that should never have happened. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Council. Esmeralda Negretti. I would like to address Mr. Charette because I also applied for that position. And Fred, you said you had the best person for that one. To forget about it, it had been filled. I just don't see why this is on the agenda shortly after. It hasn't even been a year. Mr. Alexander, thank you for being there. You have firsthand knowledge that she is professional. She carries herself out well, and she's asking the tough questions. Mr. Reynoso, your commissioner was also someone who was giving input, so I appreciate that. Other than that, as everyone else had shared, it was just stagnant in there. So to see that someone wants to be removed just because there's a conflict, I just don't see that as a professional thing. And I really do hope that the two speakers who spoke before me and said that you have your mind made up, that they are incorrect. I really do hope so, because I think that all of you here can make up your own mind, not just answer a phone call and make believe that everybody has made up their mind before we get here. I think that when we come here and we ask you and we give you our concern from your, as a constituent, that you do hear us. And I hope I'm legitimately hoping that this is true and correct, that this is not just something that we're coming and we're just spinning the wheels and it goes on deaf ears. But I do appreciate your time, and I do hope that you consider keeping her, because she has been an advocate for the animals. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comment?
Yes.
Thank you. Now moving on to city manager report.
Good evening and Happy New Year, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. For my report, I will be talking about, when you've got New Year, you're looking forward as well as looking back to see what happened. So I'd like to present a couple of updates from a couple departments, and I'll be doing this probably over the next couple presentations, about some of the performances and the hard work done by the staffs of some of our city departments. First is the police department. If you have not seen the posting of their statistics, it is very impressive. This marks the first full year that Chief Goodman has served as chief, and the hardworking officers and unsworn staff of the police department really have done very well. First of all, the number of homicides in the city of San Bernardino in 2023 dropped by 50%, 1/2. That's very impressive. Overall violent crime dropped by 5%. The response time dropped by 46%. And that's particularly impressive when you look at the next statistic, that there were over 133,000 calls for service in 2023 to our police department. And the response time dropped by 46%. The number of firearms recovered, over 1,200, and the number of pounds of illegal narcotics seized, over 5,000. And they still found time to attend over 450 community events throughout the city. So I think that the hardworking men of the police department and Chief Goodman deserve a nice round of applause. And I apologize if I said men and not men and women, because we got very hardworking men and women serving the police department. I also wanted to talk about our Animal Services Department. I'll be talking next time about Public Works. But in 2023, and I know this is very small, there were 3,539 dogs and 1,019 cats adopted, returned to their families, or sent to rescue organizations. And this, while dog intake was up 21% year over year, and cat intake was up over 50%. The dog save rate is just under 85%. Our field officers, who work extremely hard, completed 9,858 field activities, including responding to calls for stray dogs and other investigations. Several of the initiatives that were launched in the past year were increasing the number of foster homes for pets, as well as expanding the volunteer program and a monthly food pantry. And over 600 pets went to foster homes. 40 new volunteers are now on board. And starting in October, there is a monthly pet pantry for food for owners struggling to feed their pets. So another department that their staff is working extremely, extremely hard. Starting next week, the city is launching a survey as part of the development of the Broadband Master Plan. There are patches in the city that are severely underserved with broadband, and one of the steps is doing an assessment of both needs and the current status, and so this will be launched next week. We encourage everybody over the next month to participate so that we can get a good sample of how service in San Bernardino is and where we need to invest our funds. Next Thursday is a week from tomorrow, is the annual point in time count. Instead of being at the San Manuel Stadium, it will be held at the National Orange Show at the bright and early hour of 5:15 a.m. We're still looking for volunteers, but if you do sign up, and you can sign up on the city website, you must take a, how do we word it? A 1-hour training course in advance. And of course, this is very critical in getting those accurate numbers so that we can apply for grants at the county, state, and federal levels. And then one other thing is that the Villa Senor Library, after about a 1-year closure for remodeling and repairs, opens on Monday, January 22nd. So we're excited. That includes upgraded restrooms and a remodeled community room that can hold a capacity of up to 75 people. Finally, we have some comings and goings. A couple people sitting behind me and to my left. Lynn Merrill has been named interim, or actually the interim Public Works Director since December, has been appointed to fill the permanent position effective February 5th. Lynn brings to the city over 30 years of public works and solid waste experience, including 10 years in the 1990s and 2000s with the city of San Bernardino. So congratulations and welcome, Lynn. And while we have comings, we also have goings. Due to CalPERS rules, our interim community and economic development director, Mary Lanier, will be leaving the city in the coming weeks. During her tenure, Mary has been an integral part of the city leadership team, and she'll be missed. And on a related note, interviews are currently being conducted for the new community development director. We will miss you, Mary. And finally, it's been mentioned a couple of times tonight already, but on Christmas Day, we did add one additional resident to the city of San Bernardino. So I'd like to congratulate Mayor Tran and her husband Kong to the addition to their family. He actually made an appearance at City Hall this morning, so we were pleased to meet him. And what's the expression? Good things come in small packages, and he's definitely a small package, but definitely a good thing, and we're glad and that everybody's healthy and happy, so congratulations. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. He decided to come on Christmas. That's his birthday. All right, moving on to appointments. For items 3, 4, 5, and 6. For items 3, is there a motion or a second?
I will move it.
Mayor Pro Tem motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Can I do a substitute motion?
There's a substitute motion by Councilmember Ibarra.
Yes, to separate item 3 from 4, 5, and 6 for a vote.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
No, we're not. We're going to do an individual. So there's a motion and a second, Madam City Clerk, for item number 3.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra,
No.
Councilmember Figueroa,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Reynoso,
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin,
No.
Councilmember Alexander,
Nay.
and Mayor Tran.
Yes.
Motion passes with 5 votes in favor and 3 in opposition.
Thank you. Item number 3.
Can we move the?
If I may,
If we could go ahead and move.
Move 4, 5, and 6.
if I may, Mayor, just a quick comment for Ms. Sharon. Ms.
Councilmember
Sharon,
Ibarra.
I'd just like to say, Sharon, thank you for your passion and advocating for the pets in our community. Appreciate you.
Madam City Clerk, for item number, can we just go individually?
All 3.
There's a request, but there's also a request by a council member to want to go individually. So can I just ask if there's consensus to go go, as a bundle or as an individual vote?
You can take them individual votes for
Let's
each
go ahead
item.
and individual vote. Number 4.
Move to approve.
There's a motion by Councilmember Figueroa, second by Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilmember Sanchez.
What was the motion? Is that as a slate?
No, just item number 4.
Individually?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Councilmember Ibarra.
No.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Reynoso.
No.
Councilmember Calvin.
No.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Mayor Tran.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes with 5 affirmative votes, 3 in opposition.
Next, item number 5, appointment of Pastor
Move to
Reginald
approve.
Woods.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call for the vote.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Reynoso.
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Mayor Tran.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Next, item number 6.
Move to approve.
There's a motion and a second. Please call for the votes.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Reynoso.
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Mayor Tran.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. For item number 4, the appointment of Gil Bateo, he is not here, but we do have 2 commissioners. Appointment of Reginald Woods and Letitia Briggs are here. So at this time, do we call them up, Madam City Clerk?
Can you please state your name for the record?
Letitia Briggs.
Reginald Woods.
And please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic? That you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California? That you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you're about to enter?
Yes.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, you both, for willing to be on this commission. And do you have a few words you want to share?
I'm just excited, and I look forward to serving the community and doing the best that I possibly can.
And I want to ditto that, just here to help our community get better.
And I'd like to present to you the certificate for your appointment. Letty, I remember you for working for the city for so long, and so you're very familiar with the Personnel Commission. So thank you so much for coming on board and just really helping us out as an organization. Here's your certificate, and here's your city pin. Do you want to take a quick picture? Thank you. And Pastor Reginald Woods, thank you so much for stepping up to also be part of the Personnel Commission. And here is your certificate. Thank you. And here's your city pin. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, moving on to consent calendar, items number 7 to 39. Do I have a motion or actually any polls from the council members? Oh, Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, if I may, item 21 needs to be pulled. It's not going to be returned on that item.
Okay. Item 21 will be pulled by staff. Do I have any polls by any council members? Councilmember Alexander, 33. 33, okay. To my right, Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes, 19 and 39.
1939. Councilmember Ibarra?
It's been pulled, thank you.
Is already pulled? What item is that?
It was item 33,
39? Okay.
no, 33.
33. Councilmember Figueroa?
No polls, but just have comments on number 28 and 31.
28 and 31 questions. Okay, our comments. Mayor Pro Tem? None. All right, so we move, there's a motion to move the balance.
Second.
There's a second. Please call.
And I'll include 28 and 31 on that, but I just still wanted to make comments on
Got
that.
it.
So include them on the remaining balance.
Include with the motion to approve, and then just a comment by Councilmember Figueroa.
Okay. Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Okay, consent passes unanimously.
Thank you. I'll start with the comment by Councilmember Figueroa.
Thank you, Mayor. It's on item number 28 regarding the Lytle Creek Park Community Center renovation. I simply want to express my profound gratitude and appreciation to San Manuel and the members of San Manuel and the Tribal Council for their partnership with the city and for their generosity. They've provided so many resources to the city. It's immeasurable. It's the partnership that we have with them. Is just, again, like I said, I'm profoundly thankful to them for this grant, and to Lydia as well for, I know it was kind of like you were just put like on a deadline, and you were able to come together with them and pull this through as well. So I want to recognize you with getting this done also. So to San Manuel and to our Parks and Rec department as well. Thank you so much for that. On item number 31 with the police department, this is the project for the Safe Neighborhoods grant. I certainly want to say thank you to our police department for that, and the grant writer that I believe it's Assistant Chief Hernandez, right? I believe that's
Hernandez, he writes all these. He's gotten us millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars from the police department, and we saw a slide a little earlier as far as the improvements that have been made in the police department. So I just wanted to say thank you to him as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. We have polls for number 19, Councilmember Alexander. Oh, 33. 19 is, Councilmember Sanchez.
Yes, I need staff to explain this because I think there was at least a 5-2 vote to do a feasibility study on going our own way. Our public speaker, or the advocate who came out advocating for the joint powers had also said if you are capable of doing your own housing trust, that is a better option. But if staff could explain why that approach is not going to be best for us.
Certainly, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Sanchez. Good evening, Mayor Tran and distinguished members of the City Council. Yes, at the prior staff meeting, City Council did direct staff to go back, take a look at the opportunity to establish our own housing trust. There are definitely some benefits of establishing a trust. Staff did go through and did some research regarding establishing its own housing trust. We also had conversations with the San Bernardino Regional Council of Governments on the time it took for them to do the research and to evaluate establishing this regional trust. And it took them about 2 years to go through the process. They went through a number of jurisdictions. They hired a consultant to do the analysis for them. And we also took a look at the opportunity to bring on a consultant. We evaluated kind of our resources at the city level and the opportunity on bringing consultants on. And right now, I think our conclusion is we would like to pursue establishing a housing trust, do that research, find out what is beneficial for the city of San Bernardino. But right at this time, we do not have the staffing resources in our housing division with the expertise to take this task on. And I bring this up because we are recruiting
Good news, we are getting some candidates. We are building our housing staff from one a couple years ago. Our housing team, and we haven't done a presentation, I'll get with Jeff to do this, after I leave, but to give you an idea, our housing department manages all of our federal grants, our community development block grant program, which is all of our shelter services. There's public improvements that go into that, our home programs for housing assistance. They're working with 3 affordable housing developers that are coming into the city right now, and the homeless. We've got a navigation center, we have Lutheran Social Services, so their plate is very full, and right now we need some more expertise before we actually embark on this on our own. So at this time, we want to keep it, on, kind of a mid-burner. I won't say on the back burner, but we'll work with the city manager on next steps. But right now, we do want to take advantage of the housing trust that's in front of us. We have the opportunity to work as a regional entity with the other cities. There's $5 million from the Southern California Association of Governments that has gone to the San Bernardino County or Regional Housing Trust. So that will be available. And then there's other funding that could come down in the next 2 years while we evaluate our opportunities that, we might be able to take advantage of, and our affordable housing developers. A lot of the housing trust goes to affordable housing, and perhaps there's gap financing some of our developers in our community might be able to tap into. So at this time, we are recommending that you authorize the city to join the San Bernardino Regional Housing Trust by submitting the letter of intent. It doesn't commit us long-term. We can pull out, but at least we get in at the beginning.
I will move to approve the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra,
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Reynoso.
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next pull is item number 33 by Councilmember Ibarra, Councilmember Reynoso, and Councilmember Alexander.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. This item has been a challenge to our department. We are certainly supportive of the concepts that were presented in it, which is basically converting an existing alleyway to a more pedestrian-friendly use. Unfortunately, when we put this this project out for bid, we only received one bid from a vendor for nearly twice what the engineer's estimates were for. And as we worked through it, we talked to the granting agency, Caltrans, and requested their consideration of additional funding, which they politely said that they do not have that funding. But this afternoon, we were very pleasantly surprised. We did have a meeting with almost all of the Caltrans folks, and they did indicate to us that they would be willing to give us a 6-month extension on this project, which does give us the time to rescope this and be able to extend a bid period from 21 days to 30 days and to do a job walk on this particular project so that we can actually have the vendors come out, walk the project, and see it. And because of those items, because of those actions, we feel confident that we can get this bid back out very quickly and get a much better return. Unfortunately, we have seen a lot of increases in cost on bid documents. Bid costs, construction costs have gone up, and we think that this just really was kind of an opportunistic bid that was offered to us. But I think we can rescope it. We were told that we could reduce some of the scoping by the Caltrans folks, so we can reduce it down slightly. It's not a major. It's not like we're going to change the whole plan on this, but we are going to be able to reduce it down, and our team is going to actually look through it and see if there's some additional things that we can do to maybe clarify the bid documents as well. So we are asking the council to reject the construction bids as presented and give us direction to go back out for bid.
Thank you. Any comments?
Yes.
Members?
First,
Alexander, followed by Sanchez.
First, thank you for coming back, and congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back.
Great. I was trying to say the scope of work. When David Freeman brought this before us way back in 2022, I followed this very closely. Even though it's not in my work, I still follow it very closely because he brought it to me.
Okay.
So what I follow this, and I keep asking questions like, where are we at this? Where's the benchmarks? What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I would always not get some answers that and sometimes I wouldn't get answers. But so what is your guarantee to this council that we're going to be on time this time to make sure that we don't lose $722,000?
I've been basically in conversations for the last month and a half with my team. We are focusing back on delivery of services. I think that's been an issue for the department over the last couple of years that we have not been able to deliver. But we are making the commitment to the council that we are going to deliver projects. When we say we're going to deliver them, we're going to make them happen. And so while I can't, 100% guarantee that there won't be other issues that may come up, it is my personal belief in the city and belief in my team that we are starting to figure out how to deliver stuff on time, at budget, for the city, because that's what it needs.
Thank you for saying on budget. So the scope of work that we presented to that organization, how did it come up so $433,000 difference? Can you give us a little insight on that?
We saw in the bid document escalations on items such as grading that were outside of what would be normal. I mean, the alley is a finished alley. Mm-hmm. And we saw dollar amounts there that were just not in line with what the costs were. And that's part of what we saw, that we felt that the vendor was really trying to opportunize the bid to his advantage, and that's why we looked at it. We also explored with the city attorney's office whether or not we could negotiate with them to try to get the bid price down. But unfortunately, because of the way we do bid documents and structuring, the issue really is that when you start changing the scope, you really have changed what the bids were, and that other vendors may have been more accepting of that and more competitive if we had changed it. So it was kind of a situation where we really couldn't, negotiate with them as effectively. So we ended up with the recommendation for the reject all bids. Our plan prior to this afternoon's meeting with Caltrans was to turn this bid out tomorrow. This additional 6 months gives us a little bit of time to be able to do a little bit better job of rescoping the bid and give that opportunity to have a job walk, which oftentimes will make it easier for vendors to see what the project is and understand it in more comprehensive. We don't know if the vendor that bid actually went out and looked at it. He may have done simply, a drive-by or a Zoom, a Google Earth look at it. We don't know how detailed he actually made.
Is that going to be a requirement for?
We will be offering a bid walk, yes. Okay. And that will help. I believe that will help to clarify. We'll also get a sense of the vendors that are coming in and be able to clarify this so that we can get this thing done.
Have you also reached out to our community partners who are involved in this with us?
I have not yet. I apologize to all the community partners that spoke. I will be reaching out to them because they are an integral part of this project. We understand the economic value that this has, and so we will be engaging with them to make sure that this project meets everybody's needs and is a benefit to the community.
Yeah, that'll be great, but in the future, for all directors, when we have community partners and we come upon hiccups in the system, it would be best if we reach out to those community partners and let them know, hey, we're having a problem, this is the issue, so they're not left in the dark. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree fully.
That's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanchez?
Move to approve to reject all bids.
Oh, okay. There's a motion second, but Councilmember Ibarra?
Just want to confirm with our city attorney, so there's no way of us renegotiating this bid?
Once you put out a bid, we are restricted by the rules that apply to public bidding. And when you try to change something after it's been publicly noticed and you've received a bid, you can have other bidders that say, hey, that's not fair. If I had known that I could change the bid, then I might have had a lower bid too. So for those reasons, you cannot.
Okay, I just want to say, my concern is, given the track record of our city, a lot of our projects are heavily delayed. We need a real commitment that we are going to put this out to bid and get this project done before the deadline. Because
we
we have a
concur.
really bad track record right now of keeping on time.
I walked in and I understand that. That has been an issue for the department.
And I appreciate all the work that the businesses in downtown have been doing with that alley. We need to really make sure that we get this done. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, Councilmember Ibarra. That was one of the things I brought up to the council before, is that getting individuals like Lynn Merrill in these positions are crucial in order to make sure these bids are done right, the grants, we don't lose them, because you're right. We need to make sure we stay on record with what we say we're going to do. So that's our goal.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Sanchez?
Yeah, I just want to point out that that alleyway is smaller than this room. And after the $100,000 that were spent on design work, we would have to foot out of pocket $400,000. And that's not $400,000 that just comes out of thin air. That takes away from us being able to pave streets, fix parks, everything else that we have to do. We had an opportunistic contractor who saw this as an opportunity to really up the price. We have a win-win situation here. We have the extension till the end of the year. We can put this back out to bid, not have to spend $400,000 out of our pocket, and still get this project done in time. So it's a win-win for us to reject this bid and put this back out to RFP.
Thank you, Councilmember. There's a motion and a second. Please call for the votes.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra,
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Reynoso,
Welcome, Lynn. Yes, and I really appreciate your responses.
Councilmember Calvin,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next poll is item number 39. Councilmember Sanchez?
Yeah, this one's one that we've been battling for a while now, and so staff needs to maybe explain to the council, the viewing audience, where are we going, a timeline, what do we see as the final destination?
Thank you, Councilmember. You are correct. This has been quite a journey for the city. I had actually been following this prior to even thinking I was coming back. And the issue that really is here now is that you've done two Prop 218 notices with two different rates, and it appeared that the negotiations with Burtech have been a challenge to the city. One of the things that my predecessor did was that he retained a company called R3 Consultants, which is very well recognized in the area and the state for doing a good analysis. We've had a good discussion with Burtech. We have had a couple of meetings with them, and they have provided a lot better information, a lot more information to us. And so the timeline on this is that we intend to bring this to the first meeting in May, as far as our 45-day Proposition 218 notice. Our intent will be to come to you in March and request the public hearing be set, and the rate information will be presented to you. And at that point, we will be able to go out for the 45 days. If it is approved by the council, our intent is to have this rate in place, as well as our SB 1383 requirements that are directed toward our residential customers, be able to have this all in place by July 1st.
Mayor, Councilmember Sanchez, if I may add to that. This actually gives us time. This contract does not run out until 2026. So this actually gives us time to work with vendors and bid this out appropriately over the next period of time and work with them, because San Bernardino is a little bit of a different kind of jurisdiction as to what we have to deal with. So having Lynn on board is going to help us quite a bit in dealing with this and when we start bidding it back out.
Councilmember?
Yeah, so this will be the third 218 notice that will go out. This will go out with rates reflecting the 1383 implementation?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, so that's the first thing. The next step is we will be discussing an RFP, is that what you're saying? When is that supposed to come out?
The existing contract expires in March of 2026, so we have approximately 2 years that we can put that together. I've actually done RFPs before for other cities in the area, and it's a process that will take about approximately 1 year.
So it's 1 year from when we award from when it goes out to when we award it, but because San Bernardino is such a large market, it's going to take a year to ramp up. So we're talking at least 8 months. That's an optimistic. 12 months is what you need. So you need to be able to award a year before that. It takes about a year to do the RFP and award the contract. So we're looking at 2 years. So in 26, so we would need to start right in 3 months, right?
That is correct, Councilmember Sanchez. We plan on starting working through the RFP process now, drafting the scope of work and getting that prepared. Once the council adopts those rates and we get them in place for the next year, we're going to go ahead and try and get that RFP out in the next few months as well.
And so that, just so we are crystal clear for the council and for everyone out there, when do we expect the 218 notice to go out?
We are planning on having that come to you for authorization in March.
March, and the public hearing will be when?
Yeah, May 1st is what our target date is.
Okay, May 1st. That, and then it's 30 days after the notice, we implement
Our
the rates?
intent is 30 days if upon approval during the public hearing, if the council approves the rate increase, and we are also simultaneously bringing a contract amendment for Bird-Tech to implement the SB 1383 requirements into their contract. The rates would go into effect July 1.
Okay, that answers everything, it clarifies everything for us.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes, thank you. Now, City Manager, have you had, I'm just trying to see if you've had a chance to look at the original Bird-Tech contract already. There's some items in there that have not happened yet with our contract with Bird-Tech. And have you had, just want to see if you had any opportunity to meet with Bird-Tech representatives to address the items that have not been handled?
I specifically met with Mike, myself, and Lynn met with Mike last week, I believe. We talked about some of the issues and concerns, and they want to go ahead and start to address those items. But I did let them know that it is going to be competitive, and that, you know, from a fiduciary standpoint, my office really needs to bring forth proposals to actually go back out to make sure we're not with one company for a long period of time unless their rates are much better than the others.
Correct.
I mean, we have to do a due diligence in order to do that. So yes.
And I know us as council members, we have, you know, informed Bird-Tech about possibly lowering some rates to our residents, especially those that are on fixed income, senior citizens, and even people of single households that use less of the trash, because everybody's paying the same flat fee across the whole city, whether or not they use the services. That's my understanding. If they don't use Bird-Tech, they get a lien against their own property. So how can we better serve our residents? And if you can keep pushing with Bird-Tech and their representatives, maybe have them readjust some of those rates, because I know the previous rates we got, they were just way too high for our residents.
I made it perfectly clear that we weren't happy with their rates.
Thank you.
And they are very, very aware of it, too.
Okay, we look forward to the presentation in March. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Is there a motion?
Approval. Second.
There's a motion, a second. Madam City Clerk, please call for the votes.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem? Yes. Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. That concludes our special meeting. The Mayor and City Council and the Mayor and City Council, acting as the successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, will adjourn to a regular meeting to be held today, Wednesday, January 17th, 2024, at the Feldheim Central Library located here at 555 West 6th Street, San Bernardino, California, 92401. Open session will begin at 7 p.m. with closed session remotely. I call to order this joint regular meeting of the Mayor and City Council and the Mayor and City Council acting as the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the City of San Bernardino. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Present.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Here.
Councilmember Reynoso.
Here.
Councilmember Calvin.
Here.
Councilmember Alexander.
Here.
And Mayor Tran.
Here. Before we go into public comment, Madam City Attorney, there was an inquiry about encampments and the injunction. Can you say a few words about that?
Sure. Mayor, council members, and members of our public, I do want to announce that last Friday, a federal judge, Judge Hatter, issued a preliminary injunction against the city, the employees, and its contractors. This preliminary injunction requires the city to stop their cleanup activities if cleanup activities displace people from public spaces without due process. This is not good news for us, as we have had many successes recently in our cleanups, particularly in our parks. We are working with the police department and Parks and Recreation, and by tomorrow we'll have a document to them letting them know what they can continue to do and what our options are. This is a preliminary injunction, meaning that we will still have our day in court. However, the judge also said that if we are able to get a policy to him that addresses concerns about ADA responses to individuals who have disabilities, we address how people can get their belongings if they are taken as a result of our cleanup operations, and if we can provide shelter. We've talked about this before. We have to have long-term shelter, not just hotel vouchers. The judge said he would look at that policy and remove the injunction. So we are actively working with staff. We understand the urgency and the importance to the community, and we will get reports to you as soon as we have more information.
Thank you for that. Much appreciated. All right. At this time, public comments will be heard for items 1 through 7 on the regular meeting agenda. To address the City Council, everyone must complete a speaker card and provide it to the City Clerk. Only those speaker cards turned into the City Clerk will be allowed to address the City Council. No late cards will be accepted. Each person should state their name and for the record. Please note that 8 p.m. we will pause public comment and proceed with public hearings. Public comments will resume after the closing of the last public hearing. If you require Spanish interpretation, we do have an interpreter on site. Please raise your hand at this time to indicate you will need translation assistance. In addition, we have
se escucharán los comentarios.
Let me just finish this 1 second. In addition, we have interpreting listening devices available in the back. Yes, now you can.
En este momento se escucharán los comentarios públicos. Para dirigirse al Consejo Municipal, cada individuo debe completar una tarjeta de orador. Se debe completar la tarjeta de orador y entregarla a la secretaria municipal en este momento. Solo aquellas tarjetas de orador entregadas a la secretaria municipal podrán dirigirse al Consejo Municipal. No se aceptarán tarjetas tardías. Cada persona debe indicar su nombre para el registro. A las 8 p.m. pasaremos a las audiencias públicas y completaremos el resto de los comentarios públicos después de cerrar la última audiencia pública. Si necesita interpretación en español, tenemos una intérprete presente. Por favor, levante la mano en este momento para indicar que requiere servicios. También tenemos aparatos disponibles para escuchar la Junta en español. Si no recibimos solicitud para los servicios de interpretación antes de las 9, el intérprete se retirará.
Thank you. Gracias. I should also correct that not just 1 to 7, items 1 to 7, but also general comments will be heard at this time.
City Mayor, if I may, if we can dedicate a moment of silence at the end of our meeting tonight in memory of Ms. Lucy A. Romero, who passed away in the month of December, and Carolyn Sue Johnson Conley, who passed away.
If you could remind at the Mayor and City Council updates.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We currently have 23 public comments tonight, so each speaker will have 3 minutes. Madam City Clerk, can you call up the speakers?
Mike Hartley, Jim Smith, Diane Watern, Rose Ward, Sharon Negrete, Selena M., Georgia Lacaretzos, Al Palazzo, and Lydia Zavala.
Please state your name. Thank you.
Mike Hartley, I am getting sick and tired of us spending so much time on the homeless. A federal judge who is 90 years old, who was appointed by Jimmy Carter, tells us what we can and cannot do with basically drug addicts. I see no women and children homeless. I see drug addicts, is what I see. It seems the more we go on with this, they have more rights than I do. When I think I pay income tax, I pay property tax, I buy things, I have sales tax. That's what keeps our parks around. To me, they got no right to that park. If they're to be put on public land, it's called the Mojave Desert. And put them in the middle of it. They'll live. But I'll tell you, I have an encampment that I can spit on. It's that close to my home. Does that do something to the value of my home? Yeah, it drags it down. I'm not going to allow that. When I have a homeless woman come to my front porch and put a cheesecake on the patio table, and when I go out to question her, what is that? She talks to me absolutely incoherent. Couldn't understand her. I gave it back to her and told her to get off my property. Now, if it would have been a man, I guarantee you, it would have been a Kimber 9mm he would have saw. And I'm not kidding. The homeless thing, you're going to have to wrap your heads around this because you're going to have to do something to work around this injunction, because I'll tell you right now, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
James Smith. I wanted to acknowledge something very important. In our cities, so many things are happening positively in the city of San Bernardino. Probably the most positive thing is our new addition to our city, our latest resident of San Bernardino, Kato, K-A-T-O, the new child for our mayor. Let's give her a round of applause. And it was my understanding that you were going to miss a couple of meetings, but you're here tonight, so you're so dedicated to the city of San Bernardino. We appreciate it. Another outstanding citizen of the city of San Bernardino is Jaden Daniels, who graduated from Cajon High School and is a Heisman winner for football. And there's going to be a special parade this weekend. I think the mayor mentioned it earlier in the earlier meeting on Saturday morning. And please come out and support that if you can. It's at 10:30 in the morning. And there's actually an article in the Sun today about Jason. And I want to take my hat out to the owners of the Sun. It used to be the Sun Telegram, but it's amazing. We don't get a lot of publicity about San Bernardino in that newspaper, and we need more publicity. We need another person to represent the city of San Bernardino so they will know more about the city of San Bernardino in the newspaper. And like for last weekend, I marched in the Martin Luther King parade, and there wasn't one word in the newspaper about that parade in San Bernardino. I'm not criticizing San Bernardino, but we need to work with them to raise the awareness level of the positive things that are happening in the city of San Bernardino. Blair Clark is going to be a practice field for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So many, many positive things are happening in the city of San Bernardino. We need to let people know about that. We have some very vital commissions. The Art and Historical Preservation Commission is very active in the city of San Bernardino. And our Park and Rec Department Chairman Lydia is doing a tremendous job here in the city of San Bernardino. Let's give her a round of applause. I think she is so good. And it's all led by our
Thank you.
very effective mayor of the city of San Bernardino, and we appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker. Please state your name.
Yes, I hear about Evie again. We named her Evie for evidence of what goes on at the animal shelter. Sir, you give stats up on the screen regarding the numbers. They're false. We've been keeping track of what goes in and what goes out. So whoever gave you that has falsified records. This dog died laying, well, she didn't actually die on this cold cement, but look at her body. She was starved to death. She wasn't given food. She wasn't given water. We took her from the shelter only for her to die in somebody's hands. Somebody sang to her as she was literally dying. And this goes on. She's not the only case. Something needs to be done. And it lays on you, San Bernardino citizens, on who you vote for city council. Those are deaf ears up there. They do what they want to do. And it's time to help the animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Please state your name.
Selena, General. This time I'm here to speak on behalf of the San Bernardino animals. I want to highlight that real quick for you. San Bernardino city animals. I am disappointed with the potential partnership with other city shelters to intake their animals. Well, geez, what happens to San Bernardino city animals then? I understand, money, 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 and remodel to make room, but what that really means is let's move them over to the euthanization list. Why couldn't we remodel and make room for our animals who are crowded already at our facility? But now we're only doing it because we have a partnership and we're bringing in more. Disgraceful. Our shelter looks so sad and dark and a dump. Why are we taking over another city's problem when we clearly are in crisis and need to control and make changes for San Bernardino City? You say, what's best for San Bernardino? But is this really? I highly doubt that any of you are out in the streets picking up the animals that are lost, abandoned, and injured and fostering them. The community is completely disconnected with the shelter. Anytime a dog is found, the first thing said is, don't take him to the shelter, it's a death sentence. Is this the reputation you want represented for the animal shelter? Volunteers like myself, when I moved to this city 3 years ago, I had no idea that this is what I was gonna be doing, let alone up here speaking. This is my first time. We want to see change, and I have been able to partner with many rescues who actually make change. So you think it's crowded now with all the animals? Let me tell you, we are definitely alleviating that with all the animals that we are taking in and trying to foster out and adopt out on our own. We are drowning over here and at capacity. So please understand our frustration and put San Bernardino city animals as your #1 priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Thank you for your time. I wanted to speak to the fact that
It's proposed to change the beginning of the open and closed sessions for our residents. A lot of people don't have time to come in at 5 o'clock because they're still working. And I wanted to say that I was a mom and I had 4 kids. When I applied for a job, I looked for a job that would let me be a stay-home mom during the day. So I looked for a job that was at night. When you guys took this position, you knew the time frame of the job that you were applying for. You put yourselves up for election, and you knew that the voters worked and wanted to be able to come here and put their thoughts in. And maybe they don't always come in. Maybe you don't have this many people at all times. However, we need the opportunity to come in and speak when we want to. And some people are not able to come in at 5 o'clock because most of the time, some of the time, people are working 9 to 5 jobs. So they need to be able to come in and put their names on that slip that's back there and be able to put their voices down and be heard and speak to the people who represent them. So for you to be able to come in and say, after you took a job, after we voted for you to represent us and be the person who is representing us and the voice that we voted for, that we pay for 4 years. You represent us for 4 years. So we can't just vote for you to be out tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. You're here, represent us for 4 years, unless we recall you, which is too expensive. So we don't want to do that. We want you to represent us. So we ask you to please, at least I'm asking you to think, just because you had a baby, you had a change of mind, or, congratulations on the baby, by the way, but that doesn't mean that you just get to come out and say, this time frame is not working for me, I want something different, something better. No, you need to stick with what you signed up for. What you signed up for last year, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, this is the time frame. You can't just change it. So I'm gonna say again, hopefully you're gonna listen and think about what you're doing and think about that time frame that you signed up for a couple years ago, last year, and listen to the constituents. We wanna have our voice heard, and I appreciate your time in listening, and please think about that time frame that the people here need to be heard, and we wanna be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Lydia Savala. And I'm discussing the animals again. I have shared with you in the past my vision of the future for San Bernardino in terms of the utilization of a mobile spay-neuter unit, vehicle. And that vision I read about, again, in the January 18th, 2022 San Manuel Tribal News, which stated that the Band of Mission Indians announced that they had awarded $2.22 million grant to the City of San Bernardino to help fund a new veterinary clinic. The agreement, which was finalized in late December of 21, provides $1.1 million for a new mobile veterinary clinic. Adding, and paragraph 6, adding a mobile veterinary clinic will allow San Bernardino Animal Services Department to travel to community centers and other locations to perform spaying, neutering, vaccinations, microchipping clinics. So you can only imagine my distress with regard to the loss of time. 2 years without implementation. There's only one way or 2 ways to reduce the pet overpopulation. You either conveniently, efficiently kill them, or you fix them, meaning you spay and neuter them. So the inability to find a veterinarian over a period of 2 years due to a shortage in the United States, and we only represent 4% of the world population, does not justify the failure to pursue another another viable process, specifically the H-1B visa program. It's not novel. The H-1B visa is a non-immigrant visa which allows U.S. employers to temporarily employ foreign professionals in specialty occupations for 3 years, extendable to 6 years. In a nutshell, overview, There are 65,000 visas issued annually. Currently, in the United States, we have 100 veterinarians practicing veterinary medicine under the H-1B visa program. They are utilized by veterinary clinics, animal hospitals, emergency services. The average salary is $167,000, which is well within the amount listed for the announcement. We have missed the boat. We don't lack the resources to get this ball rolling. We need to get off the fence. What we lack is moxie. We lack nerve. We lack determination. Balls in your court because we have the resources. They're just not being used.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, real quick.
Yes, Mr. City Manager.
Just to respond to one item, the grant given by San Manuel, we did receive it, and the van is currently sitting at the shelter, and we're doing a ribbon cutting early February with San Manuel for that, and it will be on service.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that information. Next speaker. Please state your name.
Hello, Sharon Negretti. Out of those 40 volunteers they say they have, you have no idea how many of those 40 volunteers actually come into work. And I'll tell you why. Today, on Facebook, now they've made staff volunteer favorite Tucker rescue only and slammed him in the isolation kennels. My boyfriend, eyewitness, my boyfriend volunteered at the shelter today, and this sweet guy was finally allowed out of isolation only to have another dog get aggressive. And this guy simply growled, and for that, they got a catch pole and dragged to isolation, screaming and crying and peeing on himself. Pitiful. Oh, really? Really? There have been questions about so many things at that shelter. There have been complaints from their citizens, and you guys you don't even care. It's not even acknowledged. There's no accountability. Who oversees that shelter? Who goes down there and checks to see if things are running properly? Nobody. Nobody. There are dogs that we have even worried about that I don't even think they're being fed. Okay? They are not providing proper care because, number one, they don't have enough kennel staff. So you guys are hiring all these managers and deputy whatever, paying these high salaries, yet the kennel staff that is doing all the work on the floors, there's not enough of them to go around. They can't do their job. There is absolutely no accountability at that shelter. There's no cameras to prove that they're accountable for what they're doing. We don't know what's going on there, actually. We have been in there and seen horrific things. And you guys need to go down to that shelter unannounced, and you need to look for yourselves and see what's going on there. Please, I beg of you. You have no idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
My name is Georgia. I've been coming to these meetings for almost a year. Chris, this is Sue. I got help to pull this dog out of the shelter recently. Please look at her. I went there to take a couple pictures for networkers, and I found her. And I took pictures and videos every day for 3 days, begging people to help save her, because I could see she was dying. And when I stopped staff, I was told they didn't have enough help and that they knew about her and that they would get to her when they could. And then I got the notice that Miss Watson put her on to die the next day because she's positive for distemper. We pulled her out so she wouldn't die there. We pulled her out. She was only a year old. And look at how she was. They handed me a bag of bones, and she was the sweetest dog. And this can't happen. Please, I'm begging you. This is not the only dog. There are many, many dogs there that they are not taking care of. It's criminal. These are crimes against the laws in this state. Please, I'm begging you. The county is building their own facility. They've already received a grant from San Manuel. Please consider sending our services to combine with theirs and send the other cities there. Don't bring thousands of dogs here. They're going to suffer and die. She's been here 3.5 years. 3.5 years, she hasn't hit the ground running. This shelter is a hole to hell. Please go and look. I'm Tom, like this other girl here. I have nothing to do with rescue. I got thrown into this mess as a private citizen because my heart hurts. I can't take this. Please, I can't beg you anymore. It just has to stop. Please consider. And we're building a $60 million facility when we have firefighters begging for money. What is going on here? What is happening here? We got our priorities all screwed up. We have to do better, please. I can't keep coming here begging you. I'm not making it up. You have to go there unannounced. Current direction is not capable of running anything bigger than what we have. It is obvious. All you have to do is go there and see for yourself. Here's a grand jury report regarding the animal control, which I've complained to you guys about. There's no protocols. They're not even canvassing our streets. Our streets are roaming with stray dogs that are attacking people. Gotta stop, please. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next speaker. Please state your name.
Palazzo, the Stanley family has called me. They said the deal for the Harris Company could not go through because the city could not accommodate them with minimum parking needed. I'm begging you, Mayor, council members, city manager. They also have told me that Court Ingles, the Spanish firm that owns the Harris Company, is willing to extend the deadline. Make another attempt, please. That building is 270,000 square feet, the size of 5 football fields. It could do so much for the downtown, and only the Stanley family that has a proven track record with the adjacent property can bring it back. I attended the meeting of citizens that offered 100 ideas of high-end uses, commercials, eateries, shops, et cetera, et cetera. For the rest of my time, I want the position of Community Development Director. Give me 1 hour of your time. I'll lay out half a dozen key core ideas how we can transform this city. I have been rebuilding this city for 50 years. All I want is a place at the table to share my ideas. Then, after you hear my ideas, you can take my vision tour that takes 2 hours. Well, it takes a half an hour to get there, 2 hours to experience the tour, and a half an hour to come. You will not find anybody who has invested as much of their life trying to figure out how to bring back San Bernardino. I cannot go into detail on those ideas, but I guarantee you, I will give you solutions, not just a pie in the sky, but I will tell you how it can be paid for by the private sector. I'm putting on my online 35 years of professional experience as a deputy assessor that was responsible for all that development in the 7 communities from Fontana West simultaneously to evaluate that development. And as I was doing that, I've been retired for 15 years. For 50 years, I've been asking the question, well, why aren't we doing this in San Bernardino? Well, every city is unique, and I know the uniqueness of San Bernardino. I grew up in San Bernardino.
I don't have a lot of time left, but please, 1 hour of your time to hear my ideas and then to take my tour, and then you decide. But I'm not going to apply until somebody who's important takes my tour. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, Council, so I did meet with Mr. Stanley again last week, along with Mr. Lynn Merrill, and spoke to Ellen, and Lynn took time out of the afternoon to walk the entire parking site with Alan Stanley, and we had, we discussed how we would move forward. Whatever happened between him and the ownership of that building, we cannot even get involved with. That is between them. But we did our part.
Thank you for that. Madam City Clerk?
Ricky Van Johnson, Frank Montes, John Schollenberger, Dolores Armstead, E. Negrete, Christian Shaughnessy, Keith, Ollie Espinoza.
Please. Thank you. Please state your name.
Ricky Van Johnson, good evening. First and foremost, congratulations, Mayor, to you and your family on your Christmas present. The city of San Bernardino is suffering from urban decay in our planning department. As a city, we are a business entity in direct competition with the surrounding municipalities. Therefore, the city's development standards must be equal to or greater than the surrounding cities to attract developers and business opportunities. As the city planned to develop the last major north-south arterial street in all of San Bernardino, the city had the opportunity to put in place an inviting, attractive thoroughfare. In 2017, our neighbors in the city of Rialto, in the pictures that I distributed, when smartly extending Pipper Street between Winchester Drive and Highland Avenue, put in place a street which included a well-landscaped road verge or curb strip with drought-tolerant vegetation. The benefits of having road verges include visual aesthetics, increased safety and comfort of sidewalk users, protection from spray from passing vehicles, and a space for benches, bus shelters, street lights, palm trees, and other public amenities. The city of Rialto also included wrought iron fencing barriers to add to the street's appeal. Plus, a large city seal was also placed on the walls at the I-210 Pipper Street freeway on and off ramps. Yet San Bernardino, still working with a bankruptcy mentality, settled for just laying down asphalt and concrete with no aesthetics in mind and no apparent vision toward future opportunities. When University Parkway was abruptly opened on December 15th, the barriers were tossed to the side and remained on the sidewalk for over 3 weeks after the street was open. The sidewalks were designed next to the street with no curb strip. Therefore, lampposts were right in the middle of the sidewalk. The wrong street signs were placed on baselines, still calling University Parkway State Street. The name change happened in 2006. Not only that, one of the signs was placed behind a traffic signal. There are still 3 phases to go on the road extension where we do not have to continue to put in place a mediocre product. San Bernardino, the theme for 2024 should be, we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Anyone can come up because we called your name.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you. Please state your name.
John Schellenberger. Mayor Tran, it has come to the attention of the community and especially of myself, and I feel it's best for me to tell you face to face what's going on. You have shown that you have been voting in a way that is deemed, especially by myself, recently, in a very reckless manner that is fiscally irresponsible and political in nature. This is the perception of many in the community, especially myself. I'm going to give you 3 examples. The first one was October 18th, 2023, when the community, the executive leadership team in this council told you guys not to hire a city manager that we, the people, felt was not the right candidate for that job. Okay, it's got nothing to do with Montoya. I don't know him. He's just a man looking for a job. He applied. You guys, he's the shiny object in the political pond. You guys are the issue, okay? But you didn't have to vote via satellite in unison to do that. Then fast forward. You voted in lockstep to make the investigation, which was ridiculous, into Kim Calvin public, and it was deemed as a smear campaign against one of the best damn people we've ever had in this city as a council person who cares about her community. And it's a travesty. And then the last decision you voted on was to give this man over here two deputy city managers, no job description. There was no qualifications needed, and from what I understand, one of them's already been hired, and it's a lady named Susie Sorensen who helped push his resume through. It is deemed as cronyism in the city. Helen, somebody's got to tell you the truth. It's got to be me. Okay, you have people in my sphere who voted for you, who support you still, who believed when you told them, I'm going to be the change for that, no more Valdiviaism in here. I'm going to be that change. But it doesn't look that that's happened. It looks like you're picking up where he left off. And you can't do that. You got to change course. You were the first female Asian mayor. And you have that responsibility on your shoulders. You've got to take a look at what I'm telling you, because I'd appreciate it if you tell me the truth, painful as it may be, for whatever I do or don't do. But Helen, you got a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, and it's time for you to change course. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, everyone. First question is, why didn't we have a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the opening of university? Betty Dean Anderson deserved appreciation and recognition for her work on putting the project on the CIP more than 30 years ago. Councilmember Calvin deserves appreciation and recognition for finally getting this phase of the project completed. Was the 4 times fired, most corrupt city manager instructed not to do anything? People recognize the left side of the dais. They are doing everything they can to make sure that Ward 6 does not get to go forward, does not advance. They're also making sure that our council member does not get recognition for any accomplishments, and there are many. People, your vote counts, and it's really, really critical in this election. As Mr. Johnson stated, what is going on with Pepper Avenue? What is going on the San Bernardino side? Rialto is doing great, it's clean, it's ready. You want to walk on that side. San Bernardino side, what the heck is going on with our planning department getting things done? We look sad. We look bad. San Bernardino could be better. You people could do better. Also, why is the city taking so long to update the general plan? Due to the general plan not being updated since 2006, the Planning Commission was forced to consider a warehouse smack in the middle of a housing neighborhood and a truck parking lot in an environmentally impacted neighborhood. We desperately need to get going on the revisions to the general plan and the municipal codes so we can move this city forward for our citizens instead of just being dumped on, continuously being dumped on. Last, Oxbow. Oxbow has not moved forward. When is the city going to address the issue? Another year, more toxics, more people continue to get sick. Councilmember Reynoso cannot move forward alone. It takes several of you, and you guys are not doing anything. there is another potential Oxbow issue coming up. The citizens came and continued to voice their concerns. The developer of the original Oxbow, he has not had to address any of the repercussions for the illegal crushing, grinding, and dumping. The last attempt to do anything was vetoed by Valdivia. That was more than 2 years ago. Think about this, people. Think hard. Your vote counts. San Bernardino cannot continue on this path to mediocrity. Why can't we do better, people? Why?
Thank you. Next speaker. Please state your name.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. My name is Christian T. Shaughnessy. For the folks who do not know, I am a candidate for San Marino City Council Ward 3. I am running for office because back in 2019, I lost a friend that was very dear to me named Nitesh Kumar. And after that, I knew we needed change in this city. I knew that the moral, physical, spiritual blight that existed in this city needed to be changed. I knew that we needed holistic and true public safety in this city. I knew we needed all kinds of transformational change to change the hearts of people so that we could stop violence from happening in the first place. And so I want to speak on something that I mentor a lot of my young people about, which is bravery. Some of the bravest people that have existed in this city are the women who are brave enough to speak out about the sexual harassment that they received from Mayor John Valdivia. They were brave women. They should have been believed then. They should be believed now. But I am ashamed to say that on April 15, 2020, there are two people who are sitting at the dais. One of them was Basine Richards. The other was Juan Figueroa right there, who voted and supported spending $50,000 of your taxpayers' funds on John Valdivia's legal fees. Now, I can assure you, my brothers and sisters, that when I am sitting in that seat that is being temporarily occupied by that man, I am never going to take your money and spend it on people who abuse women. I am never going to do that. And that is the reason why I've been endorsed by 12 elected officials. It's the reason why I've been endorsed by 18 organizations and unions. And I take great pride in saying this. I am the only person in my race who has been endorsed by any female elected officials for that one. And with that being said, you can go and examine the corruption that has emanated from Ward 3. You can go and take a look at the financial forms that will be coming out very soon from our friends at the FPPC. And when you go look at those forms, you will see that I am endorsed and I've received donations from plenty of human beings. My opponent has been endorsed by many people. The Supreme Court of the United States says are human beings because they think corporations are people. Now, with that being the case, I encourage people not to languish in despair. If you go look at the voting record of the rest of the history, if you go look at the most recent voting record of San Bernardino's history, you can see Teresa Parr-Craig, you can see Gil Botello, you can see Basine Richards, and you can look at John Valdivia himself, who have all lost as Valdivia candidates. So I'm going to ask the people of Ward 3, I'm going to ask the people of San Bernardino, do not allow this race to be the combo breaker. We will continue this struggle. We will clean this city and Ward 3 of the poison of corruption with a cleansing flame that this city so desperately needs. And when we get it done, we'll be able to build a San Bernardino that we can be proud of and a San Bernardino that is worthy of the children that are being born into it, because they deserve so much more than what that man and his friends have provided us.
Next speaker, please state your name.
Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, members community. Congratulations, Mayor, on your beautiful son, another resident for the city of San Bernardino. My name is Frank Montes. I am the chairman of the board of the Hispanic Coalition of Small Businesses. We have an office here in the city of San Bernardino, Riverside, and Los Angeles, with also offices in Nevada, Kansas, and New York. I'm here to speak on the challenges that our small businesses are having with the crime rates going up and the businesses being targeted. I've been besieged all this week and last week with phone calls, not just from the city of San Bernardino city businesses, but throughout the state. So we are going to work pushing our legislators to change that law to make sure that we give some relief to our small businesses. With that being said, yesterday morning we had an emergency board meeting with our complete board of directors and our foundation board throughout the United States, and they've instructed me that they would like, in fact, they've said that we are cutting all fees for small businesses to become members of this organization. That is a huge task, ladies and gentlemen. But the importance is we represent small business communities. And if we don't stand up for them, who will? I remind you that without a healthy community, we cannot have a healthy small business community. And the folks that own these businesses and the families that we employ live and work in these communities. So all these things that are happening impact our small businesses negatively. I want to give you guys the link. The portal will be open tomorrow because we expect a ton of requests. It is www.hcsp.us.org. And like I said, it is free. We will be announcing all our training programs and virtual training programs that we will be putting forth here in about a week. They will deal with construction. They will deal with the electrification of vehicles, electrification of your homes, the jobs of the future, and also pushing to bring clean, green manufacturing back. This is California, ladies and gentlemen. This is the green state. We can't fight that. We can't continue to swim against the current. And the Hispanic Coalition of Small Business is here to help. So please, if anybody wants any information, I'll be here for a little bit, but then I got to go home because I got a 4 a.m. meeting. Thank you. And again, God bless this city.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, I'm Keith Benitez. I would like to start with thanking the council for unanimously voting in the Regional Housing Trust. And I'm only here because next week is our biannual point-in-time count for the homeless community. I had this all prepared, but I'm a little flustered. The point-in-time count is next Thursday from 5:30 a.m. until the sun goes down, until even later than midnight. We need as many volunteers and we need as many people on hand as we can possibly get because we are on a major time crunch. We're really stressed out, and I can say for a fact, as the chair of the city's Youth Advisory Board on Homelessness, I am on the verge of a mental breakdown, and I need a break, and we need help. We need volunteers. We need just as many volunteers as we can possibly get, because at the point, I'm pretty sure we only have like 20 people. That's from last I checked. So if anybody is willing to volunteer, if anybody is willing to let people reach out, please sign up at the county website. It's under San Bernardino County, under events. You just have to go sign up, put your name in. We have one last virtual meeting Sunday, right before the point-in-time count on the 22nd. We need basically all hands on deck. So if anybody is willing to reach out or have volunteers, it'd be greatly appreciated. Any and all help is welcomed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilmen. I want to thank you all for approving the Regional Housing Trust anonymously. Thank you. And also the point-in-time count is coming up on the 25th. We need volunteers. I need all hands on deck. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk.
E. Negrete, Ulysses, Makaya, Les, Treasurer Ortiz, and Junior Carrillo.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Mayor Trent, I know that you have been traveling to meet, whether it's Washington, Sacramento, and so I want to know, and some of you have done the same thing, I want to know, after hearing the wonderful presentation from our chief and the stats, we can see great improvement happening here in San Bernardino. However, Democrat Assembly Member Tina McKinnon went ahead and proposed Assembly Bill 1418, and it was signed and approved by Gavin Newsom. That used to give us the parameters, or at least used to give you guys the parameters to protect us, the residents, for the crime-free housing. Now that that's been taken away, what are you working on? What will happen, of course, because of When we heard about Burtech, we said, hey, you guys have the time. You guys are the ones that go and talk to other elected officials. Can you advocate in our behalf, right? So in this case right here, AB 1418, I can see Rancho Cucamonga, Colton, other cities who have less crime than San Bernardino City not be impacted as great as we will be. We have already been a crime-riddled city. So what happens now? It's like, our police department can take 10 steps forward, but then we have assembly bills taking them 30 steps back. So what happens now? Because we had that in place for a reason. We've already seen many ADUs being built throughout the city. Ms. Calvin, I don't know if you've checked, but there are many ADUs in your ward. I don't know whether they have permits or not. I know that I saw an ADU. So when you see these things coming, I know that sometimes you guys advocate for good intentions, right? Reducing the cost of housing. ADUs are not going to help it. I know for a fact that the man who built an ADU has already said, I'm going to raise the price because that's a brand new ADU. He now improved the front one. So that's going up higher. So a lot of these things sound good and they play with the emotions of people. In this case, AB 1418, we didn't get to make that decision. We, the voters, didn't vote on that. So what happens now and what are your plans for that? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to have a pause for public comments because we are approaching 8 p.m. Mr. City Manager, for public hearing, did you want to make a statement on the public hearing portion?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, regarding the public hearing, item 2 and item 3 will need to be pulled. We were notified today that there are new posting requirements by state law, so we need to remove those, and we'll bring them back to you guys for consideration next month.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to resume public comments. Please state your name.
Dr. Treasurer Ortiz. So Council, a little bit ago, the county fire came up and gave a presentation about FP5. But you guys left out probably one of the most important questions that hasn't been asked in over a decade. How much does it cost for fire services in our city? And we signed over our property tax in perpetuity. How much is that? If currently the city has roughly 65,000 households, and let's say on average they're paying $3,000 a year in taxes, that's almost $195 million. Is that the cost of fire services? Is that the cost? What are we giving our money away for? Are we not due for any type of refund? This is the stuff that the council should be trying to look at. When we gave fire to the county, we were at roughly a $65 to $75 million budget. And that was having to almost think about getting rid of PD. No one is assessing what we give away. And yet we're always broke. Now coming out of COVID, it's time to look at everything. You have no idea how happy I am to see that we're not just handing over another decades-long contract into Burtech. Not that they're not doing a great job, but that it's supposed to be our due diligence to try and find the best prices for our community. Leadership is everything, but leaders have to know what questions to ask. You can't be just driven by the people who give you money every quarter into your campaign accounts. Things have to change. It's so awesome, Mayor Helen, that everybody's welcoming your new baby into the world. But what about the babies that already exist here? What is it that we're doing to make sure that their quality of life is something worth living in our community? We happen to be one of the only college towns in the nation that's failing, where our kids, if you have any possibility of doing something great and grand, you're pushed to leave the city. We have to change that. 2024 is a new year. And that means that in 19 days from now, the city of San Bernardino is going to get an option to vote again. And this time, you can vote for your own future. Christian said a wealth of amazing things tonight. And you know what? Every candidate should be out there trying to make sure the community knows they have options. You cannot keep driving this city through the rearview mirror anymore, going backwards, failing us. The fact that the best thing you guys could come up with in a year of declaring homelessness was vouchers that a judge said are useless to us, and now the homeless get to live in parks as long as they want. It is time for plans and progress, you guys. My name's Dr. Treasurer Ortiz, and I'm running for the 7th Ward because I still believe in the hope of change. And I hope that as this community gets prepared for their ballots, that they do their homework, that they start showing up to these meetings, and changing them to 5 p.m. is not going to get the community here. You are shutting down the people. We get 6 minutes a month to talk to you, 3 minutes if the mayor doesn't want to hear from us. Don't
Thank
do
you.
that.
Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, my name is Ulises Benitez from the Youth Advisory Board. I just want to expand on Keith's comment about the website. And the website is sbchp.sbcounty.gov to find out the important information. And I would like to thank you for unanimously voting into the housing trust. And just to ask you guys to come out, help volunteer, help count for the biannual point in time count. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Les. First, I want to say out there, I know Penman probably out there listening. No one wants you as city council. Go sit down and retire with Fred. Fred needs to sit down and retire as well. We actually need to recall Theodore Sanchez and Sandra. I've been saying that for the longest, and everybody like, well, we got to come up with money and all that. But to San Bernardino Sun newspaper, please don't come to San Bernardino and smear someone who actually been putting in work in San Bernardino. If anything, you guys should have talked about Theodore Sanchez allowing slum landlords to rent out a building that was, even the fire department didn't even want to go in that building. And you sat there and allowed that slum landlord to do it 2 times in a row for what, 2 years? You allowed that. So if anything, we need to get rid of him, and then the whole left side need to go. And Chris, man, please take this man's spot. Please, everyone, it's important to vote. Councilwoman Calvin been doing her thing for Ward 6. Please go vote. To the fire department, I support you guys, but please start supporting us on standing up to these warehouses and letting them know the air quality sucks and y'all need to stop building warehouses. We need you guys to support just like you guys need our support. What else? Oh, do not change the time. No one cannot show up at the time that you want. You picked this position. We didn't force you into position. So if it goes over, it just goes over. And stop making stop making this so thick. All the agendas is so thick and so much. And then we allow this man to talk, just be rambling on about nothing. That's what be holding us up. And then, what else? Oh, yeah. I know I'm late to the party, but the city manager, man, you don't even look like who you look like in the picture. Why is that? He don't even look like the picture. Where did he come from? No one wanted that man. You guys force-fed us that man. And now we supposed to sit here and respect that? Come on, you guys. You guys need to do a lot better. So Penman, like I said, no one wants you as councilman for Ward 7. You actually sold us out to Dollar General, and you sold us out to the warehouses. You are the reason why we have another warehouse coming. What else? Oh, yeah. Let me see. What else? Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Oh, that was great. Oh, wait, this is on. Hi. Hello, Helen. Hello, Ben. Hello, Kimberly. Hello, Damon. Now, the rest of you may be wondering why I didn't say hello to you. Remember the Amy incident? Oh, yeah, we didn't forget about it. I rest my case. Anywho, I would like to thank you guys for unanimously agreeing for the housing trust vote. You know, yeah, let me say something good about the left side of the people. Oh, y'all still waiting? Yeah, there's nothing. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Junior Carrillo. I'm here to speak on 3 items. The first one is the council meeting hour change First of all, it doesn't change the time for council. Council's here at 5 o'clock. The only thing it does is rearrange how we're going to spend that time. And I'm talking personally for me, it's better because I come to these meetings. If I don't come to these meetings, I listen to them. And because we have public speaking for an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes, I don't get to bed till midnight. So we're utilizing really the 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock to do this for the public. And the public speaking, we have 5 council people that work. They're here at 5 o'clock. So it didn't affect them. I mean, if I was working, I'm not, I'm retired. If I was working, there was something that critical that I wanted to come down and address because this is my city, I would make the time to do it. I am a commissioner, and you know what? I'm committed to being a commissioner, and sometimes I got to rearrange my schedule because I made a commitment to the city that I'm going to be a good commissioner. With that said, I support changing it to 5 o'clock. That's me. I'm retired. But I have to come down here at 7 and hear public speaking for an hour and a half. Today we had 36 speakers, of which 6 didn't even show. And I want to see, if we look out here, I don't see 36 speakers still here. They spoke and they left. And what they did is they took my time away. When I come here, I want to hear all these critical issues that the council, that's what we voted you for. We didn't vote you for to hear the public comment, which is important. I'm not taking away from that. But I voted for my councilman because I wanted him to address all of these issues here, the $1 million issues. And you know, before I forget, Public Works, a shout out to Public Works. Hill Drive, we had 7 people come last week and criticize about their street. And you know what? Their street was paved in a week. I made 5 visits out there. I made another one out there yesterday. These people are ecstatic. And you know what? It was unfortunate they came the week they did and didn't know their street was going to get paved the next week. I mean, they made me the hero. They thought I got the street paved in a week, but it wasn't. It was something that was in the makings. It was 6 months, and it was just communication. That's all it was. But they are ecstatic, you know. The last thing I want to talk about is our public safety meeting. These people that came to Hill Drive came to our public safety meeting, which we address PD, Public Works, and Fire. And those people were ecstatic because they said, I can't believe we got to speak and we didn't have to wait an hour. And they spoke, and guess what? Hassan was there, addressed the issue, and they were very, very happy. So that's my comments. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, do we have any more public comments?
Public comment.
Okay. That's all? Okay, all right. Moving on to consent calendar, we have 1 item.
Move approval.
There's a motion to move the item. Is there a second? Is there a second? Councilmember Sanchez, can you call for the votes?
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, we are moving on to discussion items. Number 4, adopting resolution number 2024-27 and introducing ordinance number MC 1625, amending Chapter 2.10 and Chapter 2.15, adding Chapter 2.83, and amending Sections 3.16.060 and 19.70.036 D 14D of the San Bernardino Municipal Code regarding updating titles and organizational duties of various city departments and department heads.
Move to
Could we
approve. Oh, sorry.
Could we begin with staff presentation? There's a motion second, but we'll hear the staff presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, council members. So this is to adopt the resolution as a result of the September 12th workshop in which the Community Economic Development Department was split. So it's being split into Community Development and Housing as well as Economic Development. We're also retitling a couple of titles. So Human Resources will be Human Resources and Risk Management, as well as Finance will be Finance and the Department of Finance and Management Services. So that in turn means that we would be updating the job titles for the directors and the deputy directors, which would be the same. So Deputy Director of Human Resources and Risk Management, as well as Deputy Director of Finance and Management Services. So that's what this item is.
Thank you. Are there any
And just to
Councilmember
clarify,
Sanchez?
just to clarify, what we're doing is we're not making a fiscal decision right now. We're not restructuring the organization. All we're doing is updating titles to reflect the decisions made over the last 6 months. Move to approve.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Madam City Clerk, you have to read it to the record, right?
Yes, correct. So this is ordinance number MC 1625 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, amending Chapter 2.10 of the San Bernardino Municipal Code, amending Chapter 2.15 of the San Bernardino Municipal Code, adding Chapter 2.83 to the San Bernardino Municipal Code, and amending Sections 3.16.060 and 19.7.036 subsection D 14D regarding updating titles and organizational duties of various city departments and department heads and updating such references throughout the San Bernardino Municipal Code.
Thank you. Now we can call for the votes.
Councilmember Sanchez?
One moment. Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes, Mr. City Manager, my only concern with creating this additional departments, and I'll voice it here, is are we going to hire not only the directors, but deputy directors for each of those departments? Because once again, we're becoming top-heavy, and that's the most major concern in our city, that the constituents and the businesses are not being served properly because we have top management and the people who are actually doing the work, it's not fulfilling. That's what's happening with the animal control. They don't have enough staff either.
Mayor, Councilmember Ibarra, we're actually doing both. There's not a deputy director in all the departments. There's already deputy directors in most of the departments. Some of the duties will change within like economic development as we continue to move forward and we hire that director as well. So, but all the other ones already exist. So we're just moving forward with what council's already done in the past.
Okay, but I just wanted to voice that and let my colleagues know the concern of where we're heading. We need to be more careful of all these department divisions and the hiring of top-heavy administrators. Thank you.
Thank you. Please call for the votes.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem? Yes. Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, item number 5, introduction of ordinance number MC-1626, amending section 2.58.010 of the municipal code relating to the time and location of regular meetings. Could we begin staff's presentation?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Happy New Year. So the item before you is to update the municipal code section that sets the time and location of the regular meeting of the mayor and city council. And so currently there's a provision in the municipal code that specifically indicates that closed session shall be at 5:30 p.m. and then the regular meeting open session at 7 p.m. So the introduction of the ordinance, if adopted tonight, if approved, what it'll do is provide the mayor and council the flexibility to set that time by resolution. It will also accomplish updating and clarifying for transparency purposes who can call a special meeting, and that would be the mayor or by 4 members of the council and the city manager. And then finally, the third thing that it would accomplish is to say that we're having the regular meetings here at the library. That's just a housekeeping item. So if approved, then the adoption would come forward at the next meeting, along with the resolution with the proposal for how to structure the time. And then if the ordinance is adopted at the meeting in February, then it goes into effect 30 days thereafter. So the first meeting under which, if approved again, under which we would be operating under the new rules would actually be the first meeting in April. That concludes the staff report, and happy to take questions.
Thank you. Any members of the council? Councilmember Sanchez, followed by Councilmember Calvin.
Yes, I'd like to propose a start time of closed session at 3 o'clock, open session at 4 o'clock, public hearings at 5 o'clock. My reasoning for that is I know that there's some people out there that are hesitant about starting before 5 o'clock. What happens very often, all you have to do is look at the room around here. Many people during the week aren't going to stay out past 7, 8 o'clock at night. It really limits the participation of the public. People feel more comfortable, especially during the week, with families, working a job, to come out earlier in the day, get that business done, and then head home. We have people watching at home also that have to get up early. In my neighborhood, there's a traffic jam at 6 in the morning because everyone has to get to work. People aren't going to stay up until midnight, 2 in the morning, to find out what their leaders are deciding on when it concerns their neighborhoods. So that's why I want to get started earlier. I do also want to start with closed session because we do very often have attorneys coming in to address these issues and inform the council on the issues we have to decide. It'd be good to have a clear time when those high-paid attorneys, those high hourly wages, we know what time they need to show up, make their presentation, and then get out. If we wait till after open session, it could be at 8 o'clock, could be at 10 o'clock, could be at midnight. Even if they zoom in, what are we telling them? Just hold tight for a couple hours until we're done with open session. That's my proposal. Again, it's 3 o'clock closed session, 4 o'clock open session, 5 o'clock public hearings.
If I may, Mayor, Councilmember Sanchez, the reason why we do closed session now, I moved it to the end, is because depending on the number of cases, we don't know how long that discussion is going to take with council. So putting it at the end of the meeting lets everybody else go home, and then we can just get it done. I understand the attorneys are aware, they're well aware that they need to be here anyway because it's their case, they're getting paid for it anyhow. So I'd rather have those at the end of the meeting because the public doesn't need to be here. So it lets them go home and do whatever, and we can finish our business with the closed door meeting and then be done.
Oftentimes there's also issues that need to be addressed in closed session before we're making before we're amending a legal contract to extend the case or not. I mean, we're making decisions sometimes there that will directly reflect how we vote out here. That's why I want that happening beforehand. Again, it allows predictability so that we know when the attorneys need to be here, when we're informed as well. And if we need to reconvene, it really should be the time-sensitive cases, the closed session issues that need to be addressed first, that are high priority, should be addressed first. And at 4 o'clock, when open session is going to start, if in fact the council votes this way, we can always reconvene after open session. We can say, hey, these needed to get out of the way now. The rest of the closed session items can be dealt with after open session. So we go from 3 to 4, open session, and if there's anything else that needs to be tied up at the end, we can reconvene into closed session after open session.
And Councilmember Sanchez, I would recommend that there's a continual flow, so that if closed session takes 5 minutes, we need to continually flow the meeting so that we're not waiting around, or you guys aren't waiting around, leave and come back an hour later. So we want to make sure the meeting flows all the way through, from beginning to the end.
Well, I respectfully disagree. I'd like to go this route, but that will be my motion.
I have a question.
One moment. Councilmember Calvin?
I simply would just like to know, what is the problem? What is the problem with the way that things are at this very moment? Can someone please explain that to me?
At this point in time, the way the agendas are done, a lot of times we are much later because of public comment, and as we continue to move forward with a lot more business happening, it's going to get longer and longer and longer. And as you can see, the majority of the people in the public aren't here anymore. And so trying to get a meeting done earlier to get the business done, whether it's consent or not, still gives the public time to show up and give their comments if they so choose.
Councilmember Ibarra, followed by Councilmember Alexander.
I know there was a question from somebody in the city about this item. When we're updating this ordinance, is it also changing our time? Because it had, that we approved back in June, starting at 4 PM, closed session at 5:30.
It's not approving the time yet.
No
What
time
it-
change right now, then?
No,
It's
no
just
time
fixing
change.
It
the
just
code
gives the
right now.
flexibility for us to go ahead and bring it forward. It does not change any times yet.
Okay, just wanted, thank you.
Councilmember Alexander?
Thank you. And I don't like this. I don't understand why, I really don't. I don't understand why we just can't do what we do. And what it has been working. It's not like it hasn't been working. We meet at 5:30, and I'm thinking not just for us, I'm thinking for the future, for those council members who's coming on in the future who have jobs, who may need to meet at 5:30 for closed session. You can't think for yourself, you gotta think for the future. And having it at those times and those hours at 3 o'clock, somebody may not have the flexibility to get off at 3 o'clock twice a month. Their jobs may not allow that, but they may allow them to get there at 5:30. So having that early does not sustain or help those future council members who may sit at this dais, or that mayor that may sit at this dais. So that's my concern, and I would like for it, and my motion is, for it to stay the way it is. 5:30. Yes. Substitute motion that it stays the way it is, meeting at closed session at 5:30, regular meeting
Mayor,
at 7.
may I make a clarification?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
Just to make sure we're all crystal clear on what you're being asked to do tonight. Okay, so let's go back to the basics. The city charter requires the city council to identify its regular meeting schedule and to provide for special meetings, et cetera. Right now, the way the city has done it in the past is it has adopted an ordinance that specifies times in that ordinance, which is very restrictive because when you do need flexibility for a study session, you want to meet another location, you want to do special business, then we end up having to do these agendas with special meetings and regular meetings, and it's very confusing. The proposal that staff is making right now is to make that process more simple by presenting an ordinance that will allow you to set your meeting times by resolution. That's the next step. So if you adopt this tonight, you're not making the decision specifically on times. There have been some proposals, but what you would be doing tonight in this action is going to be the first step. It's just going to provide the flexibility so that at second reading, you're going to come back with the resolution. Gives you time to talk about it. I actually discussed this with staff and felt that this would be the better way to introduce the topic so there could be conversation. So if you do this, when you adopt your resolution, staff will come back with a resolution, and that's when you would specify times. My advice to you is to give yourselves the maximum flexibility that you can, because when you're so specific, you end up with these really odd agendas like we're seeing. And I think your city manager is proposing that he'd like to get you to more study sessions, which are times when we can really listen and roll up our sleeves, and that's not possible the way the ordinance is currently drafted. So that's the reasoning, that's the why. The how will come at your next meeting when you adopt the reso, and the when.
Thank you for that clarification. Council, does that help? So then can we have a motion to move forward with the staff's?
What I will do is I will pull my motion and make a motion that we adopt
First reading, introduce the
that we
ordinance.
adopt the first reading of this, wait, it's going to be a change in the municipal code? Okay, that we adopt the first reading of the amendment to the municipal code, as well as give direction to the city manager that after the second reading, that you bring forward a resolution for a time change for our council meetings. That's my motion.
Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Mayor Pro Tem seconded. Can we call for the votes?
Just with a comment, please.
Oh, Mayor Pro Tem, followed by Councilmember Calvin.
Since we're not, maybe I should hold my comments for the next time, but I've been doing this quite a while. A lot of people think I should give it up, but the county of San Bernardino meets at 10 o'clock on Tuesdays. And they have a much bigger job, not more important. In fact, I think ours is much more important, but not nearly as big. The numbers aren't as big, but I think our job is more important. But they have their meetings at 10 o'clock in the morning, I believe, on Tuesdays.
When I first started, we were doing closed session at 3 o'clock. And I think open session started around 4 or 4:30, I can't remember for sure. And we've changed it a few times over the years. We do have an inordinate amount of public speakers. So if we started at 3 o'clock, we still wouldn't probably get into the meat of the meeting until about 6 o'clock anyway. So I think the times are very important. This is a business meeting. We do want full transparency, of course, and we want participation from the community. A number of times, and I've said this, that somebody should kind of take a look at. I get your point about the continuity and the flow of the meeting. I have a little problem with, and I don't mean to take up so much time, but if we set public hearings at 4 o'clock, we're obligated really to start then. I was more interested in maybe if we had our starting with our closed session. Many times we've had it for an hour and a half, and many times we finished up in a half an hour and ended up with an hour to spare. In the past, many times we would go over in closed session. Unfortunately, the public would have to wait maybe 15 or 20 minutes while we come out of closed session and start the meeting. I don't think we were limited on a time. I think we started immediately after closed session. So that's what I think I'd like to see. I think I understand we're talking about flexibility, and I think that's very important. I do support the idea of coming back and we can talk and work out the nuts and bolts. But a question to you, Sonia, again, I think, or you can maybe answer it, Mr. City Manager. The study sessions that we're talking about doing and we're getting scheduled, those now, because of the ordinance the way it is, those have to be listed as what, a special meeting. Correct. And with this ordinance, that would not have to be done. We could just have the meeting, it wouldn't have to be listed. I don't know what's the difference between a specific meeting and a special meeting, but we're going to have a special meeting starting at 5 o'clock. It's not much different than having a regular meeting starting at 7 o'clock. So
that's correct.
So I support the idea of looking at this and coming back and discussing it further, and I do believe that we need to be starting earlier.
So Councilmember Charette, I would like to add that the reason staff is looking at, and all the study session meetings are scheduled throughout the remainder of the year. They're every other month. The reason we're doing that is we want to give council and the community more time to look at larger in-depth projects with more time. And right now we can't do that during these regular meetings, and that's why we're doing that, so that they will then have public comment on those specific items that we're going to discuss with you all in that work session or study session. So that just adds to the public comment availability.
Thank you.
I second the motion. I think if we're talking about just getting it back to the next step.
Okay. Councilmember Calvin?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Here's my issue. As the meeting took place today, what we had was everything being on the consent calendar. We then voted for those items, took care of that business while the majority of the community was not here. And this day might be just, a different day. It could be a full room at the next meeting. But we had already taken care of business, and they did not have an opportunity to even hear what we were discussing or what we wanted to say per each item. That is what I have a problem with. I have a problem with the fact that our time, I get it, all of our time is valuable, but we work for the public. So it should not be wrapped around what we have to do. It is what is comfortable, what is for community. So we can't make changes due to that. But I do understand our needing to, the special meetings, we've been having those for 3 years. I can't even tell you how many we have actually had. Now, if we're talking about the agendas that need to be posted, then we do that correctly. So I don't see what we've been doing unless, Madam City Attorney, something that we've been doing has not been legal, or it has not been the way that we're supposed to be doing it, against the charter, the municipal code, or what have you. If that's the case, then yes, we need to fix something. But if it's not,
So for example, tonight's meeting, if
if it were restructured the way I believe that staff would like to propose, your public would have been given the opportunity to have a full conversation, both on items on the agenda as well as the public comment.
But the
So you've
items.
been able to do both.
But it's not, they wouldn't have heard our comments on the items.
They would have. But see, that's-
Councils.
They would have.
How would
And
they have
that's
done
the-
it? They didn't hear that tonight because the meeting, we didn't start talking about the items at 7.
Well, if you start your regular meeting time at 5 or 6, or I don't know, whatever time you want to start, we will then have to, under the rules, accept their public comment first on all of the items before you get into your business. We just weren't able to do that because of this restrictive ordinance that you have now. So it gives you the ability, not the mandate, if you do this first introduction tonight, it gives you the ability to set your times in the future in a more flexible way. Unfortunately, because of your ordinance, we weren't able to do that tonight. I would have loved to have recommended to staff that we take all the public comment at 5 o'clock as part of the regular meeting. That probably would have been more consistent with what you do, and it's because of your restrictive ordinance that we didn't do that. So with this change, even if you decide to keep the same times or whatever, this change is going to give you the flexibility to schedule how you want to schedule in the future. And it's going to improve your ability to hear from your public and that general public comment.
And the public being able to hear from us, because when we went over the consent calendar, the majority of the folks were not present, so they did not hear any of our rebuttals or comments on those items.
Correct. If you decide to change your meeting times, the agendas will look different. You'll have that ability. But the times are totally up to you. That's going to be up to the city council to decide.
Thank you.
Mayor, and if I may add one
Yes.
thing. And also, I think that it's important to consider that this is to give you the flexibility to set the time by resolution. So on a going forward basis, you don't have to do this two-step process plus waiting 30 days for the change to take effect. So at the end of the day, it gives you that additional flexibility to be a lot more fluid.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Just one quick observation. From my perspective, this place was full at 5 o'clock at night. It had nothing to do with the hour. The people were able to speak on those particular 39 items, but they were here at 5. I mean, so it wasn't an issue of them not hearing, because they spoke for 30 or 40 minutes, and then we dealt with it, and by then it was 5:30 or 6, and so I just have to respectfully disagree that the 5 o'clock starting time tonight had any impact on the community.
Thank you. There is a motion and a second. Please call for the votes.
Before doing so, I'll read the title.
Oh, thank you.
Ordinance into the record. So ordinance number MC 1626 of the City of San Bernardino, California, is amending section 2.58.010 of chapter 2.58 of Title II of the San Bernardino Municipal Code relating to the time and location of regular meetings.
Yes.
Councilmember Sanchez? Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
No.
Councilmember Alexander?
This is just for us to come back, right? That's it. No times, no nothing. Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 6-1 with Councilmember Calvin voting in opposition.
Thank you. Next item, number 6, election of Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. City Manager, you want to make a statement?
Mayor, Council, I just want to make sure we're clear on the process. If there is a nomination for Mayor Pro Tem, we'll take that one. If there's a second one, we'll take that one next in that specific order. So if the first one doesn't pass, then we go to the second one. I want to make sure that that's, in case there is. I don't know, but I'm letting you all know that we want to handle it in an orderly manner. And that if there's anything that you need me to do afterwards, communicate with the community on the new Mayor Pro Tem, announcing it, and I will do that.
I'd like to nominate
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Charette.
There's a nomination.
I'll second.
There's a second to that nomination.
Substitute motion.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate Councilmember Ben Reynoso.
Okay, so I
Mayor.
just want to make sure that, we took the process.
So we need to call for the votes first.
It's not a substitute.
Okay.
It's a nomination period. So
Got
you're
it.
going to take all of them and you're going to vote on all of them.
Okay, thank you. Please call for the votes.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso?
No.
Councilmember Calvin?
No.
Councilmember Alexander?
Nay.
Okay, this one. This passes 4-3.
The whole thing about going down the line, that was BS? Is that what it was?
So it passed? 4-3. So it stops, right?
Let Councilmember be the Mayor Pro Tem. Okay.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Wow. Just like how you didn't show up for them either.
Moving on to Mayor and City Council updates reports on conferences and meetings. Councilmember Sanchez.
Showing up without being at a meeting.
Okay, so, 1 second, please. You're gonna have to come back to me, Sandra, you wanna go?
Councilmember Ibarra.
Yes, so today I attended the training for point-in-time count happening on Thursday, January 25th. If anybody, we're calling out all volunteers, especially any nonprofits that have received money from the city in the past. We do ask that you step up finally and help us count the homeless or unsheltered in our city. There is training available. Today's meeting that I attended was at 10 a.m. It was supposed to be for an hour. It was almost 2 hours. It was very detailed, helps out all the volunteers. And in order to partake in the point-in-time count, you do have to take at least an hour training. And as the young individuals came up to speak to us, they shared the website. It is on the county website for you to register. And they told us to register before the 19th to partake into the point-in-time count on Thursday, the 25th. And,
Councilmember Ibarra, if I may
Yes.
also add to your message there. I did talk to staff, and we're going to have a link on the front page of our website so that they can volunteer and get the link directly.
excellent, thank you. Yeah, so anything to help the audience. And for anybody who follows me on Facebook, I did post information on my Facebook account for Councilwoman Sandra Ibarra. Thank you. And then I did mention I'd like to dedicate a moment of silence at the end of the meeting for two of my former constituents, Miss Lucy A. Romero, who passed away in the month of December, and I just found out that Carolyn Sue Johnson Conley passed away in November. So I'd like to hold a moment of silence for both ladies, exceptional ladies who love the city dearly. Thank you.
So, I lost 2 residents as well, wonderful people. First is Luis Leon. He was a lifelong resident of San Bernardino. He was a Navy veteran. He was active with Casa Ramona, the VFW, Ann's Church, St. Bernardine's Church. He was deeply loved by his family, respected by his neighbors. I considered him a friend. We spoke once a week, starting probably from the first week that I was a council member 5 years ago. Always very positive, offering to help, and he did a lot, and I miss him already. I won't be getting that phone call anymore, but he's an example of what we should all strive to be in the city of San Bernardino. The second resident that we lost since the last break was Venus Williams. She was a longtime resident of San Bernardino as well. She worked for the city of San Bernardino for many years and was a longtime CERT member and was highly active in the community. She was also my commissioner for Measure S. Her dedication and her contributions to our community will be remembered by all those who were privileged to know her. So if we can also close in Venus Williams' honor, as well as Luis Leon, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you. Councilmember Figueroa? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem?
Just a couple of items that I attended, and again, wishing everybody a happy new year and looking forward to 2024. I'm pleased with where we're moving, it looks like, and looking forward to a robust and busy 2024. I filled in, I think, kind of for my colleague, Mr. Sanchez at the Downtown Business Watch, a great group of people, and that was, I think, I don't know that exact day, it was a week or so ago. Great group of people. We've tried to do that up in the north end and had little success, but after seeing how well that's being done down here, they had a great venue here at we're not in the City Hall, here across from City Hall in the bank building. Great venue. What's that called? Studio D. Wonderful, wonderful venue, and the owners are very interested in, I think, opening that up to the community and having that as a great venue to have meetings. It was very, very conducive to a public meeting like a Coffee with a Cop or a Business Watch meeting or whatever. Also attended the Northeast District Coffee with a Cop yesterday. I think we had 59 people in there. It was a great turnout. Lieutenant Luna is doing a great job, but I got to hand it to my commissioner, Junior Carrillo, who's really working his butt off, getting people to those meetings. We're moving them around in that district. They're not for the 4th Ward. They're for the North End, or the Northeast District, which is the divider is 9th Street, north and south, and Sierra Way, east and west. And so the North District, I believe, takes in a little bit of the 2nd, a little bit of the 7th, the 4th, maybe even touches on the 3rd. So it's not directed at just the 4th Ward. It does kind of happen to fall up in that kind of north end area, but they're doing a great job, and I want to again commend my commissioner for doing a really good job in getting the people out there. And again, hats off to Public Works for taking care of that Hill Drive. As was stated earlier, that was on the books ready to go before those people came and spoke, but it doesn't matter how it got done, they're happy, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Reynoso?
Thank you, Mayor. I think a lot of people would be surprised at what makes me feel validated. That actually made me feel really good because it makes me feel like the representation is as effective as we believe it is. I want to also honor somebody who was very steadfast in reporting a lot of issues in the North End, Jack Wolf. If you had heard of Jack Wolf, you knew that he was reporting stuff all the time. He definitely was a little much sometimes. Some people would express that as well. But Jack was a good time. He was retired, and he was doing everything that he wanted to do in order to make the 5th Ward and the community a better place at large. I wanted to also highlight the Dodger Foundation groundbreaking at Blair Park. We're going to have 3 new Dodgers Dream Fields. I know someone made an announcement about the Dodgers practicing there. That's not true, but the foundation is actually going to be rebuilding the fields. It's an incredible opportunity. It's my home park, and so it's near and dear to my heart, and it's kind of one of those full circle moments. And I'm incredibly grateful for our Parks and Rec Department, San Manuel, and the Dodger Foundation for coming through on that. Happy belated birthday to the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I had an opportunity to be the keynote speaker at the Martin Luther King Jr. Day Parade. That was a great opportunity. A very powerful moment for me, especially somebody with roots in the Deep South. My mother, who still lives in the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, who was actually a slave, and family who was freed in the 1970s, for those who don't know. This is the America that we inherited. This is the America that I'm proud to represent today because it's changing. It's changing because of people who are on this dais, people like me, I'm proud to say, and young people who are believing in this city in a new way. Especially because San Bernardino is a manifestation and a total encompassment of America. Every type of political ideology lives in San Bernardino. Door to door, we love each other, and we get along, and we fight through a lot of things, but we are America right here in San Bernardino. Wanted to also highlight Jaden Daniels. The pride that I have, not only in my high school, if you didn't know, when I bust out my Letterman jacket every now and then, my brother was actually the captain on that team. He was his right guard. My brother guarded Jaden Daniels. I got to watch those games for 4 years. I know those young cats who guarded that guy and the love that he has for this city. And then I got those deep roots in the South. My family are LSU fans. I got to watch him shatter those records at the team that we root for. This is just like incredible. And so I'm extremely proud to participate in the Jaden Daniels Parade happening this Saturday, as the mayor mentioned, at 10 a.m. from 10 to 12. Celebration to follow at Cajon High School. And they're talking about renaming the field. Did they do it? Jaden Daniels Stadium. which I think is incredible. Because getting the Heisman Trophy, that is like, he's immortal. And he's going to go very, very far in the NFL, and he's going to continue to represent San Bernardino. And we have to highlight that. We have to, our youth and people who come from here who are still proud to say that they're from right here. Not that they're from LA or from Southern California, that they're from San Bernardino. So thank you, Jaden. And thank you to his family for giving us to him. And also, I just wanted to end by saying Happy New Year. I haven't seen all of you since the new year. Happy New Year. Got a lot of work to do, all of us in our various walks of life. And I thank you for participating and caring about the city of San Bernardino. Thank you, San Bernardino.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Calvin?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I have a statement that I wanted to actually read. But first, let me say Happy New Year to you, San Bernardino. And thank you to every organization who gave to community. There were so many organizations that were out there giving toys and all types of things to children in our city, and I appreciate that. It just seemed like it went on for the entire month of December, and that was wonderful to do. So I thank every single organization that came out and provided those type of toys for our community. But it's been 6 weeks or so since we've been together, and I really did miss you all. While these past 6 weeks have been somewhat of an emotional roller coaster for me, I wanted to give you a statement of how I felt and do feel about the report that my colleagues decided to vote on in my absence. I want to personally thank every single person that called, texted, or reached out in some type of way through either another friend or me directly to say that you were thinking about me and that you were wishing that I was good. And I appreciate that, and I will always remember those calls and those texts. The messages were definitely something that was holding me together. And
Point of order, Madam Councilmember Calvin. The reporting is for conferences and meetings.
And this has to do with the meeting that you all had.
Madam City Attorney.
This is time on your agenda when you speak to conferences or meetings that you've attended or community events that you've participated in.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. No problem. I do have other ways of being able to read to you what it is that I feel that has taken place here.
And
But
I'd just
let
like
me
to also make
mention
a public statement, if I might, just so that everybody is clear, making sure we're giving correct information. Council member was at the meeting at which this issue was addressed, and I understand due to a family emergency had to leave. There was no attempt by staff or the city council to keep her away from being able to be at that meeting, other than conflicts of interest that may have applied. So just want to make sure that we're being honest with all of you and the public.
Yes, I did not say that I was not here. So, but I would like to talk about a meeting, though. There was a meeting that I don't think that Councilmember Sanchez or Councilmember Figueroa or Councilmember Charette mentioned that they attended. Did you not have a meeting, Councilmember Figueroa, in your ward? Did you have a small business meeting?
Point of order.
Yep, point of order. You had a small business meeting in your ward, but I don't think that you mentioned that, and there's probably some reasons why. There's a lot of things that just are taking place here on our dais, as we just saw tonight.
Point of order, council member. Please just mention about meetings and conferences you've attended. That's it, please.
As you can see, no one wants to really hear the truth or be accountable for it. I will yield.
Mayor, council, I need to say something. I have made the opportunity to each and every one of you to invite me to any meeting, anywhere, and I would show up. And those that have invited me, I've shown up. The invites that I've gotten happened in the week I first started here. So if you didn't ask me to show up to a meeting, I haven't shown up to a meeting. If you have...
The meeting you just attended, it's an election season, and we were all told that no city resources would be able to be used for those of us that are in election season. And I do believe that Councilmember Figueroa is in an election season.
That meeting, what I am going to say is that meeting was scheduled in late October.
Make a difference, sir. He's in an election season, and that's the reason we were
Councilmember, please allow the city manager to complete his statement.
And this was my interaction that I request from each one of you to meet constituents, to meet business partners, to meet builders, investors in this community. And that went without regard to election season or whatever. It's as you as council members, I made myself available. If you took me up on the offer, I would be there.
It's election season.
Councilmember Alexander?
Mayor and council, Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. We lost Venus Williams, which was a longtime code enforcement officer for the city of San Bernardino, and she was also a fellow CERT member, Community Emergency Response Team member. So I know you have a lot to close on tonight. I just want to add one more name on that list, Venus Williams, longtime city employee. Also, we lost my public safety commissioner's father. Dina Cervantes lost her dad, Daniel Cervantes. He was in hospice for a while, and he just passed. He was 78 years old. Things that I attended on December 16th, a toy drive in my ward on Linwood. Then we moved down to Date Street. It was with the Way. They brought me out. We donated some toys to the community. On December 20th, I did a smart city conference to learn about how smart cities, and that's technology, how they're moving forward in the future for our city. On January 10th, I attended the Valencia and Paris Hill Neighborhood Association meeting. And during that meeting, I shared with, I'll come back to that. On January 12th, the grand opening and ribbon cutting of J3 Beauty Salon on 2118. It's a beauty salon. It's not a beauty supply slot. You go in there and you get your best haircut. On January 15th, I attended the Los Angeles Martin Luther King Day Parade. January 18th is the 7th Ward Forum at Arrowhead Country Club. It's at 6:30 p.m. Again, the 7th Ward Forum at Arrowhead Country Club. Coming up events, January 19th is the grand opening of Cafe, oh boy, I always mess this up. Lisco, thank you. Cafe Lisco is at 330 North D Street, 330 North D Street. Everybody's mentioned the point in time count a million times. Everybody's mentioned Jaden Daniels, but everybody did not mention terrible Terry Washington, who won his Olympic and got his Olympic trials and did everything and was announced the best boxer of his during the Olympics, Junior Olympics, that is, excuse me. Junior Olympics. He was announced, and that is another San Bernardino product. So congratulations to terrible Terry. Let's see here. That's it. And that's it. Oh, no, I would like to thank the ACM, as I like to call her, Eddie Evelyn, Azam, and Ernesto of Public Works, because I've been trying for years to get the medium on Valencia, something done to the medium on Valencia. But I want to thank you, sir, and thank you publicly, and thank Urban Conservation Corps for all coming together and trying to get something done positive for the city. It is now on the CIP list. I appreciate you guys getting it done. I do appreciate it. Give you props where it's due. And now we're going to plant some trees. Urban Conservation Corps is going to plant some trees someplace else in the 7th Ward, but they're going to get it done. And we're going to get the medium fixed on the medium in Valencia between Highland and 30th Street. So thank you for going out there and taking the time and leaving your desk. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. I hope to see everyone at the Jaden Daniels Parade this Saturday at 10 a.m. Please don't forget to purchase your free tickets on Eventbrite. It's on the school district website. I want to ask the city manager, is it possible to have that link too on our city website, if they could just go there as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, that would be great. So wonderful. And also the point in time count, cannot emphasize how important that is. I hope to see all of you. I will be volunteering myself on January 25th. At the National Orange Show, Gate 10, and that starts at 5:15 a.m. All right, let's go ahead and close out the meeting in memory of those we have lost. Venus Williams, she was a 30-year employee for the city, and so Councilmember Sanchez did mention her as well, and Councilmember Ibarra had mentioned those who have we've lost.
And I didn't mention, but Carolyn Sue was also a code enforcement volunteer for our city pretty much all her life. So she really loved the city. And we didn't agree on a lot of issues, but I always acknowledged that she was a great woman.
Thank you. And then those that Councilmember Alexander had mentioned as well. So we're going to close out this meeting now in a moment of silence. Thank you. And may we carry the memory of all those who we've lost in our community in our hearts as we continue to work together for the betterment of our community. We will now convene into closed session and the time being 8:59 p.m.